My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs, a Games Club podcast.
And this week we're talking about the life and suffering of Sir Brante, which is a literary RPG developed by Sever Studio and published by 101XP for PC in 2021. Hot dog, Gary, We have a wiener.
Hot dog, a wiener. This is an executive produced episode, and it's my favorite kind. Not to make anybody who is executive produced feel good or bad. But the type of game I didn't really know about that I ended up really loving.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't happen that often. So this was produced by Jeff. I think I had heard of this.
Yeah.
You know, I'd seen the name, but I didn't really know what it was. And there's such, like, we're going to talk about this, you know, in generalities and stuff. For me, there's such a stark difference between game book and visual novel.
Yes.
And a screenshot from one oftentimes looks like another. So when I had seen this, I was like, nah, you know, I'm just not, it's not my tempo. Like, I don't like playing a game without mechanics.
Right.
And I don't like a visual novel. This is a Citizen Sleeper like or something though. And I don't think it markets itself as such. I didn't know, you know, and so I really appreciate Jeff bringing it to our attention because it's great.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love this game a lot. I want more. The story in this scratches a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics itches for me.
Yeah. It's a really, I like this, you know, in terms of the big game book stuff we've done. Like, I like this a little less than I like Pentiment, you know. I think I like this more than Citizen Sleeper though, and I like that game quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know, we're in a good time for this kind of thing. I think it is a better story and it's a little less saccharine. It's great. I love it. One of my favorite games I played this year.
Yeah. In this game, you play as Sir Brante, a commoner born to a noble house in this medieval dark fantasy world under something called the Arcnean Empire. And the events of the game cover the events of his life up until a revolution, and we are guiding him and as he finds his place in the world, and also, you know, affects the fate of this world that is on the brink of this revolution.
Yes, and we know that revolution is going to come. The subtitle of the game is "During the Fall of the Blessed Arcanian Empire."
Yes,
so we know that's going to happen.
Right.
This is a game book, as we mentioned. It is a choose your own adventure story. You have stats that determine which options are available to you. There isn't chance in the game. You're not rolling dice. You know, it's hard checks against your stats. So think, you know, the way that everything can kind of sometimes boil down to reigns.
Yeah.
You know, like reigns is a weirdly influential touch point for things because in terms of you make choices that make one number go up and another number go down as a very pure expression. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
You're not rolling dice. It's just, if you do this, you'll get this stat point, lose this stat point, and then later we're going to make checks against those.
Yes. You can decide whether or not you want to be shown the results. You can get something close to perfect information, at least as far as your stats are concerned, right?
Yes. Even though there are tons of unexpected consequences.
Yes.
You know, we're in that stuff too. That's more about the narrative, but it makes sense mechanically.
Yeah.
And it's a reason why this won't be for every Andrew. Like, this is a thing where a feel bad game. It is hard to optimize.
Did you just say it won't be for every Andrew?
Using Andrew as a general term is something I picked up from a YouTuber.
Okay.
And it's wormed its way into my vocabulary
Gotcha.
now. And it'll pass if you don't like it. Think of it as weather.
Okay. So
eventually it'll just fall off. But just I'm not that kind of Andrew, not that kind of Andy. I'm the kind of Andrew who does this.
Gotcha.
I don't know. It's stuck in my head.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah. I wasn't purposely bringing it to the show. I say it around the house. Like me and Liv boop around the house saying Andrew.
Oh, you boop around the house, do you, huh?
Yeah, we boop around the house saying Andrew. Like the number of part of being alive is just developing your own vocabulary.
Yes. Yeah.
So
if you're curious about game books, if this sounds good to you, we actually did a full episode, a special episode about game books way back in episode 95 in 2015, talking about actual physical game books and some adaptations of those as well. We talked about sorcery, ! In that. And there are more recent games that kind of follow in this kind of vein. Game I like a lot called 80 Days. A lot of stuff published by Inkle using the Inkle engine. And there are also some, kind of recent-ish releases. The game called Suzerain or The Pale Beyond are also kind of versions of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think Citizen Sleeper is a good comparison as well.
Yeah.
To this, that has a more graphical interface. There are differences, obviously, and you roll a dice to determine your resources. You're still determining resources versus choices and deciding if you have the power to do the things you want to do in the game world.
Yes.
So this game is broken up into events. Every event tells a piece of the story, and you have to make a choice. And then it shows you the immediate consequences for that choice. And then depending on if you met certain requirements, there are special events that show up. A little pop-up will say, this is an event as a result of your choices. And that's something you get to see because of things you did in the past.
I really like that they tell you what you satisfied to get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And they're not, again, this goes into the narrative. They're not always intuitive.
No.
You can describe this as a thing that makes it sound very boring and very deterministic. Like, if you are good, then good things happen. Oh no, I chose the evil choice. So later, evil bad thing happened. We're not in that zone. Where there's an elevated level of plotting and writing to this, not in terms of just, literature, right? Like this is something we expect from books, but in terms of games, it's kind of rare.
Yes. Yeah. And also there's no way to just be good. Like you are appealing to different interests and everything is a trade-off. Yeah.
Yes. Which I love.
Yes.
Like that's my, my favorite kind of media is complicated and political.
Yeah. So your stats will not only rise and fall in response to your actions, but they're also going to completely change and combine into new stats over the course of the first 3 chapters and then into the fourth. So you've got one set of stats in childhood, another in adolescence, and then they mix up into what you're finally going to have.
Yeah. There are also stats for the air zones, and your family, things like that. Stats related to the stability and prosperity of where you live, the empire as a whole, your family, things like that. They're added as you go.
Yes.
As you get, as your concerns broaden.
The stat that acts most like a resource that you're going to have over the course of the entire game is willpower, which generally will rise when you make a sensible or self-enriching choice. And then you need to spend it in order to make a choice that is very personally costly. And that cost comes along with the other swings that are going to come with it.
It's the word sensible is hard. Like, I don't know if I agree with that word. It's not that they're sensible. It's the easy choice.
Yes.
Right? Like if you let yourself off the hook.
Yeah.
Whatever the thing is that requires no like you stay in bed that day.
Yeah.
That gives you willpower. If you have to do anything hard, and because we're in a world where you're constantly being asked hard questions, right? Like if video games are about making choices, make interesting choices, you're constantly being asked hard, tough questions in this.
Yeah.
You have to take some L's. Like you have to rest up for them. The cool thing this game did is like, there would be times where I'd be like, I really want this to happen, but I don't think this is going to be the most important thing I do during this year. I'm going to set this out, even though it's non-optimal. It's not what I want.
Yes.
And then if I don't do that, I was forced to. I want this so bad, I can't do it. And that mirrored real life feelings to me.
Yeah.
In a way that, just prose doesn't. right? Like when I talk about how I feel like stats and mechanics add to a narrative video game, be it a game book or something like, Disco Elysium, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You can emulate that kind of thing rather than just tell me. I felt it in a way like the character experiences what the player experiences.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like that is really powerful. It's the best thing games can do. And you can only do it through mechanics. You can't do it through, just choosing just to choose your own adventure.
Yeah, you hit a branching point and you can pick either choice. Both are open to you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. This is definitely way more interesting. It is way more of it's a game, right? And there are these moments like willpower does not get you over everything. Right. There are situations where it just doesn't apply because the die is cast. Right. But there are these moments where you will see an option that is grayed out. That if only I had 5 more willpower for this.
Yep.
And it's one of the most painful things in the world. Like I will lose my relationship with this person because of a choice that I made before, just in regard to this all-purpose like executive function resource. And
that's where the Citizen Sleeper comparison comes. When you're rolling up your executive function every day.
Yes.
Here you have more control over it, but the way they don't do randomness, but you don't know in advance what you're going to be using it for.
Yes.
They kind of encourage a sort of arbitrariness, or at least resource play.
Yeah.
With that.
So this acting is kind of like a resource that introduces like a rounding or a fudging kind of thing. Also, like, oh, great! I because I was frugal with my willpower, I can get the optimal, what I perceive to be the optimal outcome for this for this individual scenario.
It happens the other way too, which I love.
Yeah.
Which was like, and this again is a real life feeling where like I have the willpower to do this. I want this so bad, and I have the stats. I'm not clever enough.
Yeah.
Or I'm not brave enough.
Yes.
To do this again, like it's characterization through mechanics stuff, and it just made me embody the role.
Yes.
It felt like my Sir Brante.
Yeah. So other consistent stats that are going to be around for the entire game are relationships with individual people, especially with your family. This spans from -5, which is they hate your guts, to +5, which is as much affection as you can have. And this has a heavy bearing on the game. Most of the story will relate to your family's status in society in some form or fashion.
Yes. One of the things that I think that makes this a good narrative is that your family, it has this importance, right? As this whole set of stats, like you are concerned with its honor, its wealth, other things like that. The important part of that, though, is Sir Brante is not in a vacuum, right? Like, it is a ball you're juggling in the air on top of everything else. And like, you can say, fuck them kids and just scoot on, if you want to. They succeed at making that feel bad.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody who's largely done that in real life. The game gave me the feeling of empathy, for my family. Nothing can get me to believe in honor. I wasn't going to do that, but I did want, the good members of my family to have good lives.
Yeah.
I wanted them to like me.
Exactly. Yeah. And
what a concept.
Right? It's very alien to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But each member of your family is kind of a different part of the empire in microcosm too. You know? And that's because
they represent
their allegiances and their beliefs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people are stand-ins for one of the main world things. The thing this reminds me of, this is a great dungeon master.
Yes.
Having NPCs that are stand-ins for viewpoints that are part of your world's conflict is great dungeon mastering.
Well, it's also just great storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. But like, since this is a game, and that's the part, like, so often when we talk about narratives in games, or at least I think of them this way, and you'll bring it up on the show. I don't want to speak for you, but I think of it in terms of the dungeon master not doing a good job.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, if a narrative is failing, a lot of the times it's this basic stuff like that the game master, who is also an author in this case, is fucking up.
Yeah.
And this is a good game master. There are tokens in this that the game will keep track. If you do certain things, you'll get a token. The game will assign you, showing that you've either gained a particular resource or your relationship with somebody has hit a breaking point or solidified into something solid.
Yes.
Like a allyship there. And then all of these things, same thing with the family, +1, +5, these are all just things that get checked.
Yes.
In choices. So the same way you can get to a choice and you need this much willpower or this stat, you can also need this relationship or this token to do it.
Yeah. And all of these stats add up to a pretty stringent experience where you can do as much planning as you want, but painful things are going to happen. In addition, like a high number in something is not an unalloyed good, right?
That's the thing that fucked me.
Yep.
We won't talk about that's the thing that fucked me. Yeah. Whoops.
Turns out when you stir the pot, huh?
Yeah, exactly. The you can have too much spice. Yeah. The dose does make the poison. Fuck.
Yes. So this is one of these wonderful things where you're doing your best to kind of manage this downfall, either on a personal or civilizational scale, right?
Yes. Yeah. You don't get to win this. You won't get everything you want. Definitely not on your first try. Mm-hmm. Most likely, you're going to end up boxed in and having to get some things, that you want, but you won't get everything.
Yeah.
There is kind of, there are, if you're, an absolute malcontent, you can go online and figure out ways to get the optimal ending to this kind of thing. I saw people complaining about that online, and Jokerfied me a little bit.
Complaining about what? The fact that there are guides that exist that give you an optimal?
No. Complaining that they need a guide to get an optimal, that you can't get an optimal result without using a guide.
I love the story that I got. It was fucking terrible.
It's a tragedy, right? Like it's an old time tragedy.
Yeah.
I like that too. Some people cannot hang with that.
Yeah.
As a thing. So the reason why I disclaimed that, is that some people, when we talked about The Witcher, some people were like, we heaped a lot of praise on the unintended consequences. You would do something and it would turn out bad for you later. That is an anxiety trigger.
Yes. For
a non-negligible amount of people. And it's good to know what you're getting into. Like, this is a tragedy story. You get to shape it and steer it. But you will have that feeling that for some people, when they're in pure game mode, will feel like they're being cheated out of an optimal outcome.
Yeah.
Whereas we tend to think of it as you're being given a more interesting outcome.
Yes.
This is fake. It doesn't have to go good. Sir Brante doesn't exist.
Right.
You're reading a story. It's okay if bad things happen to him and his family.
Yes.
If you're taking that on yourself, that's something to maybe examine.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. So this is not just medieval Earth, right? This is a fantasy world. And I love the way that it spools out details about the society and cosmology here. And it kind of matches with Sir Bronte's maturity, right? Like, as you experience more of the world, you are exposed to different things.
Oftentimes, like, literally taught.
Yes.
And then but it's different people want to teach you different things in this. Like, they also have perspectives and biases.
Yeah.
About this. So it's all coming in filtered as well.
Yeah.
Through unreliable narrators through this, which is great.
When we talk about this cosmology, that wraps into the mechanics of this, because this is a world with a life system. It's just built in. The gods of this world, it's twin gods, one representing mercy, another representing discipline. And everybody gets 3 lesser deaths, and then you suffer a true death. So you will die during this story. There are times where a true death will be handed out immediately. These are special circumstances, and like, who gets to do that is a big part of the story as well. Yeah,
the way that it articulates in our path was the thing that made me not despair about our ending.
Yep,
that'll make sense when we say our path.
Yes,
in a little bit, but this is thematically very rich. Because people can be killed. Without serious consequence. They have only 3 lives. This plays into the class system of this. The main characteristic of this empire are there are lots. This very rigid caste system where people are sorted into 3 different lots, nobility, clergy, and commoners. the way that ties in that true death is nobility can kill commoners.
Mm-hmm.
If you do something, you get to be killed. And the reason why that's even allowed is they'll come back.
Yep.
It's a spanking.
Mm-hmm.
You only get to misbehave so many times.
Yeah.
Right. It's fucking 3 strikes rules for possession
for afterlife. Yeah.
It's very easy to find parallels to the real world with this shit.
Yes. It's pretty on the nose with the metaphors that it's drawing out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is good. There's a time for subtlety.
and the subtlety comes through in other ways.
Yes.
It comes through and there are divisions within these lots, which are explored. Not every noble acts the same, not every clergy, not every commoner, and different kinds of, the actual way that your world works, your house is really interesting. You are a lesser noble house.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 2 kinds of nobility. You can gain it through deeds or inheritance. If it's through deeds, not everybody is granted nobility.
Right.
So you are a commoner from a noble house. This allows the game to kind of straddle this line and give you this upwardly mobile, kind of story, almost this like immigrant story almost of, making your way.
Yeah. These lots determine the way that the game branches because your house and you are between these worlds. When you reach adulthood and go to the capital for your education, you get to pick which of these you want to pursue. Each lot has its own path, and there are paths within those, depending on your philosophy or how things work out, generally falling on the lines of your relationship to the power structure.
Yes. This is a huge split.
Mm-hmm.
There is an overarching story. The empire is going to fall. There is this, is the empire just? Is this lot system just? Should it be abolished?
Mm-hmm.
However, during this middle chapter, you will meet entirely new NPCs. You'll have totally different relationships. You will have different villains, things like that. It is a game that meaningfully branches,
right?
In terms of replayability. Talking to people in the Slack who did other paths had completely different stories and things that have happened and stuff. For this episode, rather than completely following our noses, in order to make it not a nightmare, we did the same thing.
Yes. Which also happens to be what we probably would have done anyway. I considered taking the clergy path because I was interested in the cosmology that was shown. But I don't know, having a spy story set in a revolution seems really cool to me.
Super cool.
So
and role playing, of course, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like an empire.
Right.
The game does a good job. It's not Star Wars.
Right.
It's not, an evil empire necessarily. There is shade behind it and there's reform that's on the table, and you can make that path as well.
Yes.
If you go the noble path, there is a reformist path that is probably a better ending than the one we got.
Most certainly.
So it's not as obvious as it initially seems.
And you can reach reform in the Lotless path as well, which is the name of the path that we took. Lotless and commoners, right?
Yep. If you didn't fuck up.
Yeah.
Which we did.
Yeah. So we're talking about this, the same thing. We're not going to cover the entire game because of that. Characters, there are big figures in the other paths who are only passing appearances in ours, right?
Yes. Yep. And kind of as a general rule, that means we're not going to be exclusive, extensive. We're not going to get everything. We're also going to move. We're not going to cover every event, even in the chapters we did.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long game.
Very.
The first 3 chapters, which are the same for everybody, is a lot of setup.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of before the plot. We're going to move a little quickly through those. Cool things happen.
Yeah.
This is probably the time, if we didn't make it clear before, I think this game is really worth playing. If this sounds at all interesting to you, if you like Pentiment and Disco Elysium, and you like 80 Days, and you like Citizen Sleeper, this is a great addition to that genre. IMO, and you should play it.
Yeah.
Before we spoil everything.
I give this a full-throated recommendation. And we're not going to spoil everything. We're only going to spoil what we saw.
Exactly. So if you're clergy pilled, you'll have a totally different experience. And you'll probably have a totally different experience anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Aesthetically, the game is super sparing. There is a book interface here. 1 page is text, one with an illustration. There's like an ink cut or like a woodblock illustration kind of, of what is happening. There are accompanying sound effects here, and the game has pretty good music. I think, especially during the last chapter when things are intense, there are a couple of like bad things are happening songs that are super legit. I've listened to since. They're really good.
Like, but before the like name of an event pops up, like you hear like the first like 3 notes, and you know if it's going to be sad times or good times.
Yeah. So yeah, something's wrong.
Yeah.
This kind of carries forward in a general presentation thing with this, where there's jank.
Yep.
To this, quite a bit of jank. Like the page turning animation isn't quite right. Little things that I didn't, that I noticed the whole time that speak to its budget, but I don't think speaks to its overall quality.
Right.
The other thing that I think is a kind of a real miss is the narrator.
Why is he Ford tough, Gary?
He's very Ford tough. He's basically about a revolution that can get you from point A to point B. They decided to. This is a bias. Whenever I think of old timies, though, I don't think of just a American voice.
Yeah.
If this had a British voice, give me something Elven, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
But it's just a guy who kind of talks like this in a straight way. Yeah. And that is how I knew that he talks a little bit like the sentient toilet from Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's real weird.
Yeah.
And all those things matter because it does make a bad first impression.
Yes.
And the narration being like that, it's like, oh shit, the words parts of this game are going to be bad. And I would say that some of the prose is no great shakes, right? Like it's not, we're not Disco Elysium in terms of like, that is a beautiful turn of phrase I'll keep forever.
Yes.
But the writing, and I think kind of more emphasized, the plotting of this is great.
Yes.
The world is really, the world building is great. It's very mysterious. The power dynamics are very complicated. Personal relationships are very complicated. It's very satisfying. You watch them change and deepen. Everything makes sense. Like characters act in a reasonable way. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel arbitrary. Like, some of the prose, again, not perfect. The actual writing in a general sense and plotting is great.
Yeah. Everybody's actions in this are so well motivated.
Yeah.
Sometimes in a poorly written story, things will just happen because they need to for the story to end up where the writer wants it to be. Here, because it can go lots of places, what they have done is ensure that everybody mechanically is working for their interests or their values. And those are well laid out and clearly defined.
It's one of the main markers of a bad story.
Yes.
Like, how often do we on this show or any of our shows, when we're talking about a narrative being frustrating or unsatisfying, think, why did this person fucking do this?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, that is such a basic thing that we should be demanding as a minimum from our video games, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing, and it shouldn't be. What did they take from us? But like, it's really refreshing to see it. You love to see it when it happens.
Yeah. Talking about the studio. This is Sever Studio. This is an indie team based out of Tomsk in central Russia. This is their first release as a game studio, having previously worked on training software. If anybody's saying, why are you talking about a Russian game? There's a war on. We do not support that war. However, we also do not think it's
that's
right.
If somebody's saying that, they're also being crazy.
Yeah.
Like that we're doing wars right now and people can play our games.
Yeah.
Like if that standard was applied to us, you wouldn't be able to listen to bands.
Yeah.
It is a crazy person who is extremely online who thinks that.
It's one of the first things that comes up when you do a search on this game.
Yes.
And
it's online is full of crazy people.
Yeah. Draw your own lines, whatever. We do not believe that individual creators should be punished based on the state that they happen to live in.
Yeah. It's because I don't want to be punished for the state I happen to live in, who also does this kind of bullshit all the time.
Yes.
Really cool thing about Jeff. Jeff actually researched this as part of the pitch. Mm-hmm. Was like, I looked up these guys. I haven't seen anything, on their social media that makes them seem like they're, the supporting the war.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's the extra mile that we love to see.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. And also, like, what's on the page is not necessarily something that feels jingoistic, right?
I thought it was weird when Ukrainius the Mighty came through and destroyed all the Russians in this because he hated their culture.
Weird choice.
That was a weird touch in the plot, but other than that, it feels like it's pretty,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So information about the game's development is pretty scarce. Looked for interviews. There are some of them that are in Russian, and I do not trust Google Translate very much in order to get this. The most consistent source of information about this is a series of Q&As that were done on the game's Steam page.
Yeah. So the game was originally planned as a quick 6-month project, get the studio on its feet. As they worked on it, they realized that there was a chance to do something bigger, and development stretched to 2.5 years.
Yeah.
The final product is 200,000 words long, more than 200,000 words long.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
That's big. Yeah.
And this was largely crowdfunded. And the studio has, they did this kind of article saying, oh, how do we keep loyal high tier backers for this? And this has, I think, some of the best integrated supporter content in here. I didn't know that this was happening until I read that this was happening, that like character portraits were based off of people who gave them a lot of money.
You didn't see a couple Redditors? I definitely saw a couple beardos.
I did.
That didn't look like real beardos.
They felt some of them felt natural to me. So your mileage is going to vary on this.
Yeah, most of them did. It didn't feel as unnatural as like go to the Hall of Beardos.
Yeah,
where Boner King 95 puts his clan tag. But the clan tag, I saw a couple people where I was like, this looks like a modern guy who would see it at a game store.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
Like modern guys you see in game stores would fit right in in this setting. They generally do it very subtly.
Yes.
And incorporating subplots that they propose, that's really interesting because there's nothing to mark out what those are. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find any of the subplots to be shitty.
Right.
Or anything. I wasn't like, oh, this is, obviously a reference to a clan tag.
Right.
I don't know. Kids still do clan tags. I'm not sure.
I don't think maybe they do. You still see people with like weird little shit in front of their usernames. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably they do. No. They just don't call them clan tags. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Their intention when they were making this was always to tell a story about somebody fighting this uphill battle against the system. The powers that be. And they drew inspirations from tons of works of Russian and European history from the 17th century onward. There's lots of Roman Empire in here, and tons just about European revolutions in general. And it feels well observed in that sense.
Yeah. We regret to inform you this game is woke. It's well received by critics. Has a very positive rating on Steam. And they're working on based on the Steam Q&A, Sever's working on another game that's in the same universe. Mm-hmm. That's great. They have a really, really great world building already done. Like, I want to play in this D&D campaign as is.
Yeah. The studio is also working on another game that looks like it's real cool. It is a game called Mother of All Secrets. This is also kind of a choose your own adventure looking thing, but it has like a card-based choice system. It is this mystery story that takes place in an orphanage. I'm real curious about it.
Me too. This they've won my curiosity.
Yes.
I will. I feel like they get it in terms of mixing narrative and gameplay.
Agreed.
At a non-annoying ratio. So we're going to get into it.
We are. This is going to be a lengthy episode, folks. Buckle up.
Yes, buckle up. There's a lot of things happen in this. So again, if we glaze over your favorite part, it is in the interest of going to sleep at a reasonable hour tonight for us and for you.
Yes. So the game opens describing what we're going to be playing, setting our expectations. This is a ruthless world. You're not going to be able to overcome every obstacle. It urges us to accept the tragedy.
Yep. And Brante narrates about living his life and possibly changing history through the paths he might have traveled. This book contains it all. He's writing this on his deathbed, afterlife, from beyond, something.
Right.
This is a memoir.
Yeah. So Brante is sitting down and writing the story of his life as it nears its end. I was born in the Arcnean Empire, where a person's fate is written the moment that they're born.
Yes. And we have these kind of check-ins, these metaphysical check-ins here in turn, like checking out our philosophy. And sometimes these are supernatural things happen to your character in this.
Yes.
Or you do this as well. You can define what somebody's life path is. There's different options. Like, there is no destiny. There's no higher power or gods. Everything is just probability and circumstance. I think I chose some flavor of I determine what it is.
Yeah.
My very strong individualism, took my entire path
through
this.
No, I would full. There is no destiny. Like everything is your circumstance. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think there's two different things. It's like you are your circumstances or you are your choices.
Yeah.
Because that comes up later. I think I did choices, but the circumstances one also turns out to bear. All of them are arguably true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except that there's no higher power because you talk to God a bunch in this game.
Mm-hmm. And it it asks you, like, do you believe that you're right about this? You know, you can say yes or no, kind of building in this doubt, and says, all right, well, to understand what's going on, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. And we get chapter 1, which is childhood, with our birth.
Yep. Born, 1118 in that year. There are three figures looking over you. One is compassionate, the other is strict, and the third is a shadowy figure in the distance, pulsing with an unbreakable will to live.
Yeah.
Here. And we get to choose one of them to reach out towards.
Yeah. You know I'm taking the shadow, baby.
Something about these kind of games makes me role play.
Uh-huh.
Like I want, if I was playing my character like a stolen car, I'm always going to choose the shadow.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, what would Gary do? So I chose the mom in this. I want the compassion.
Yeah.
As this thing. And this kind of starts you on your journey here, gives like the very beginning kind of relationship stuff.
Yeah.
Your main stats in childhood are determination and perception. And your choices in the chapter will set them, and they're the basis for later stats.
Yeah.
That can make it seem like you fuck yourself in this. Like I didn't get enough perception in childhood, so adolescence I won't have enough, stick-to-itiveness. You have a chance to alter your stats every chapter.
Yes. Yeah.
You get to the end chapter and it gives you kind of a warning, like, hey, these are your chapters. You're going to need these many thresholds for things. You still influence your stats.
Yes.
For the game.
Yeah.
So
I've broken this out, like if there are like details about the world, about the family, I've kind of put them at the beginning, and then we're going to talk broadly about the events here for these first 3 chapters, just to make sure that we talk about it cohesively instead of event by event, right?
If we went event by event, it'd be intolerable.
Yes.
Like, it would be the game book equivalent of us describing Mario platform by platform.
Right. So, early on, we learn about our family. We're introduced to kind of the main characters we're going to be spending the most time with. Our father's name is Robert. He is a judge and a noble, not the inherited noble, but the kind you earn. And he is married to Lydia, this commoner who is devoutly religious.
Yes. You have an older sister, Gloria, who is born to Lydia before she married Robert. She's not officially part of the family and a commoner. Your older brother, Stefan, who was born to Robert and his first wife.
Yeah.
There. And we kind of get, so those are our main players in our family. We're going to get a baby brother at some point as well.
Yeah.
Who is hilarious.
Medieval fail son. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolute fail son. Like this little sack of shit. One of the things I love about these drawings is how much personality is conveyed in them. Your dad and mom always have incredibly sorrowful eyes, like all the time. And then, Stefan looks like a little shit. Your sister Gloria looks great. It looks like real fun. And then your little brother comes through and he looks like fucking Grimace Wormtongue. It's like this horrible little goblin man. I was sympathetic to him, but the drawing is very funny.
It is very funny.
We get some world details as well.
Yeah. So there is a sun, unlike the lands between, but the world is lit partly by this grand pillar of light that's way off in the distance. And we also learn through song that the twin gods came to this world and brought with them the lots system. This is a lie. But it's what you're told, right? As basic morality. If you follow your lot, if you stick to your lane, you will go to the top of the pillar of light, for paradise. And if you do not stick to your lot in life, then you end up at the foot of the pillar, which is torment. It's hell.
The way this is a lie is very interesting to me because in real life, I feel like those kind of things are self-serving lies. Like I'm not throwing out all religion. My official position, religion is good to the degree that it causes people to do good.
Yep.
But this idea of using it to control people, a really easy answer to that is like, that's all fake. There are no gods, which is, basically where I've landed. But in this game, there's a pillar of light. Like you will have religious experiences. It is not really possible to be an atheist in this world.
I love the event that you get where somebody tries it.
Yeah. It's really good, right? And so like the what that does is it shunts the conversation into a more interesting place.
Into doctrinal differences.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this kind of, these more intense, like rabbinical questions about like, if there is a God, why do they allow this kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do a thought terminating cliche. You can't dismiss it as just like, well, structures of power just invented this.
Yeah.
Yes, they're supporting it, but there is something there definitively within this fiction.
Yeah. It forces you to engage with the question just by building it into the world itself. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah.
So the noble lot is divided into two different kinds of nobles. Nobles of the mantle. This is an earned title, and then nobles of the sword, which are inherited. And once the family has nobility of the sword, they're set for life.
Right.
Every one of their children forever will be a noble of the sword, and they are living the good life forever.
Yeah. This is kind of the main goal for the family, at least set out by the patriarch, who we're going to meet in this chapter, by Gregor. Are just terrible monster of a grandpa.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. One of the greatest villains in games.
Yes.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of go through the events. Again, we're not going to catch them all. I also I didn't take notes. I did this because I don't usually take notes. I go by my memory. I don't remember the exact choice I made for every individual event. I know the general tenor of things. So,
and the choices here are more about stats than anything. If they're revelatory about something, I included that.
That's why we're going to go quick.
Yeah. So we're born, and when we're like 1 year old, Stefan wants to play hide and seek, which just involves Gloria taking me to a far off place and setting me down alone.
And just setting you down like a sack. Your mom came out and found me. I didn't get anyone in trouble.
Yeah.
I remember when it was, but you're also one.
I just sat there and looked at bugs.
Yeah. Looking at bugs can unlock a thing, which is great. We didn't mention this, but it's worth mentioning. At the beginning of every chapter, they give you a little preview. They say, these are events that can happen. This thing. So those little tokens that'll be load bearing, you get a little preview that they can exist.
Yes.
These are really fun, both because they feel like they're going to be too gamey and kind of ruin the surprise, but you don't know how they're going to happen and you don't know the results. So like looking at bugs right now is what ultimately opens up a religious path for you, because you're looking at bugs, and you eventually learn about their caste system.
Yes.
It's teaching you about the world. And then they do it that way where it's like you have unintended effects. They also do it dramatically, like you get to a chapter and one of the events will be like, has an arms shipment. And I'm like, well, I guess that's happening. Like now I know the stakes. Of this.
It gives you kind of some focus points to kind of guide you as you navigate. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the anniversary of the day of the twin gods that descended, yourself and Gloria are locked in a dark room because everyone must be where they belong. Yeah. During this time, it's part of their like dark Christmas.
Yeah, you gotta go into the closet because God's home.
Yep.
You can choose to make a fuss or to comfort Gloria. I sided with Gloria on everything because she is obviously right.
Yes, I did too. Even though I didn't get there are plot things that happened with her that I missed. I just found out through wiki stuff. I sided with like she was my favorite of the siblings.
Yes.
Because of course she is.
Yeah. Because we got Stefan, who is playing with us, hits us with a toy sword, but when we hit him back, we get flogged. We get beaten because a commoner cannot hurt a nobleman under any circumstances. And though Stefan is not technically a noble right now, he is on the noble path. And you can you can choose whether or not to accept this.
Yes, and it takes willpower, right? So again, this is the first choice where I noticed what they were doing with willpower. Because you can accept your punishment, that requires willpower. The easiest thing is deny guilt. You get no stat things, you're just lying. But it's easy.
Yeah.
Like you're lying. That kind of the easy choice, I love how that is done when you're a child, where it's very obvious, like as a kid, just denying, that you did something is a reflex.
Yeah.
It's super easy. And then they later build that out into things that are harder for adults to do.
Yes.
Lying is actually kind of easy for adults. It doesn't really, in this kind of thing. And it doesn't, or rather reverse it. Lying can be kind of hard, but if it's like to people you care about and stuff as an adult. As a kid, you just lie, like kids lie all the time, just to do it. It's easy.
To feel. Yeah. This dynamic is repeated a little bit later in the chapter when you're rewarded with a toy. You're taken to a toy shop, and this noble kid takes the last set of toy soldiers from you, and you hit them back, and you can choose whether or not it's basically checking like, did you learn this lesson from before about what the about what the dynamic is? Yeah.
Yeah. And you're out with your dad, who is more sympathetic to the system.
Yes.
A little bit. He is, in terms of modern, politics, he is a liberal, right? Like, he wants to reform the system from the inside. Mm-hmm. This is how it is. We can change it, but we got to change it from within.
Yes. He is a compassionate judge, is the way that this is put out. So Gloria is an independent spirit, right? She is writing rhymes, and she gets better at this over the course of her life. They're
absolutely dope. Like, her Gloria's flow is incredible.
She's dropping sick bars left and right.
Yes.
But commoners are not supposed to do this. Art is not for them. Art is for the nobles, despite the fact that everybody has a capacity for it.
And lest anyone who's doing this as service, she's writing poetry.
Yes.
So she gets punished for it. She gets flogged by the mom. The mom is very religious, even though she's also a commoner. I chose to comfort her as well, deepening the relationship, also because it felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah. So we go to the temple because it's time for Stefan and Gloria, the older siblings, to take their first sacrament. And this will put them...
This is a great scene.
Yeah.
Because the way you do it, so they're going to be put on a path.
Yeah.
Here, but they have to get the sacrament first to put them on their path, and the church is divided halfway through. Where on the left side, people are on the nobility side just walk. The people who are on the commoner side kneel through like glass. Yeah, like spikes and broken glass.
Like the left side, the floor is marble and carpet, and on the commoner side, it's like jagged. Right. And you have to,
like, it literally cuts you.
Yeah. And you have
the
to
supplicant's door.
Yeah, exactly. It's the chute for supplicants that you have to crawl up along. And the, people who are set on the noble path, they get to kiss a sword. Whereas the people who are on the common path, taking that sacrament, they get a lashing. And it is a wound that does not heal. Well, it heals, but it scars. It's a scar that doesn't go away.
Permanent scar. The idea being that your suffering is noble.
Yes.
A lie that has been told to us forever. Mm-hmm. And then things are like, okay, things are, I'm a kid. This is probably fine. I like ants. And then your grandpa shows up. Mm-hmm. And your grandpa is a monster in this. This absolutely bigoted tyrant in a way that is very well observed. Mm-hmm. He is doing I fucking earned this.
Yes.
Right? Like, you see this all the time in people. Everything good thing that has happened to him, he has earned, and the idea of anybody else having any iota of it is a crime.
Yes. Yeah. And he justifies all of this, all of his monsterism and selfishness, as I'm doing it for the family. He has his eye on getting a noble by the sword. Anything that threatens that needs to be drummed out, up to and including the fact that his son has put the family status in jeopardy by marrying Lydia, this commoner. And there are going to be other wrinkles to that a little bit later that we'll talk about, but this disgraced commoner. And he is always trying to get Robert to leave her aside and treating her like a commoner, treating her as a servant.
Dressing her down constantly.
Yeah.
He complains about how the house is kept, all of this stuff. It's just really awkward and horrible.
Yeah.
This reminded me a lot. So when I was young, and had my stepdad, I had an abusive stepdad who yelled at me a lot and yelled at my mom and stuff. Mm-hmm. He had my mom. He drove trucks. So he would be gone for periods. And the house was literally divided into like happy time and sad time.
Based on his schedule when he was going to come back.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just like this. Mm-hmm. So he's going to come back. He's going to be here and he's going to kind of come in and out. You'll get a message. It's like, oh, your grandfather's traveling to the capital right now. Things are less tense. And then just that, like, I got like goosebumps, like that idea of like when this person comes back into your life, everyone is all of a sudden on edge.
Yeah.
It's just very, like, really brought me back to childhood. It's a very relatable feeling.
Yes.
Of this.
Yeah.
This guy fucking sucks. One of the first things he does is take your toys and burns them.
Yeah.
You're a commoner. You cannot have anything to do with the combat or military
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that. And you can hit him
Mm-hmm.
at this point, which I did. Ran up and hit him in the leg, and he beats you to death with his cane.
Yep, he splits your skull.
Yep. As a kid, and you are young.
Yeah.
At this point,
You're like
and
5?
you are his fucking grandson.
You're like 5,
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
He split a 5-year-old's skull with his, because in this world, because of the lesser deaths, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spanking.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't know this when this happened. It says lesser death. But like it was the option that was there. And I was like, okay, I just kind of want to see. I'm early on in the game. If I die here, I can very quickly recreate my choices. And this is how I learned about the fact that you come back. So like, you get the shock of this, and then you realize how this works.
Yep. This thing I love, you die and then you wake up in the family crypt.
Mm-hmm.
Your family doesn't carry you there to revive. You left behind.
Yeah.
You teleport out.
And like
this comes up later, and you just appear in your crypt.
Yeah, with your wounds gone. Like,
yep, your wounds gone.
Mm-hmm.
You're naked, and then you have like a new mark.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did 2 lesser deaths in the game. Like there, the second one they didn't mention the mark, but I assume you have like tally marks like a World War II.
Yeah, like it's on your fuselage. Yeah, it's these black marks that are on your arm.
Yeah, let you know.
Yeah.
And your family is sad, right? Your parents still love you. They're very upset by that. And they're trying to explain this to you, not because they think it's right, but because they don't like seeing you get hurt.
Right.
That is so fucking relatable as a thing. Like I'm not, I'm just a boring white guy, but you read stories that like absolutely break your heart of black parents explaining to their kids, they can't be kids and stand up for themselves because you will fucking die.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like there are shades of that in this.
Yeah.
Explaining the system that is deeply unjust and saying, because I love you, I need you to participate in this unjust system.
Yeah.
Like that is heartbreaking. And again, a thing from the real world, this game is trucking in right from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good shit.
It is a very fascinating part of this world. And we're just going to see that spool out into broader societal consequences. But right now, like we're just introduced to it literally by dying.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah.
Your mom gives birth. You have a younger brother, Nathan, there. And Gregor, in the occasion of this birth, in the wake of it, goes around Lydia and arranges a dinner with a noblewoman for Robert, Baroness Emma L. Lodar. L is the appellate you get when you become a noble of the sword.
Yeah, it's an honorific for the family.
Yes.
Yeah. And just Lydia is forced to sit at this dinner as the wife to be replaced, barely holding in tears. And your choice on this, we'll talk about it later. But like you just, okay, are we going to stand for this? And he spends this time criticizing Lydia to this Baroness, and telling Robert, like, if you go through with this, you can keep Lydia as a mistress or servant. I don't care, just as long as she is not part of this family.
Yep. It's all appearances.
Yeah.
Really gross. And Stefan, your older brother, the shithead, hews really closely to Grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
He's bought into this whole thing before, and he likes this because he wants that status.
Yeah.
He eventually returns to the capital with him to attend a military boarding school.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. But Gregor keeps coming back. There are these trips. And on one of the trips back, he is eating candied fruit, which is not something that commoners are supposed to have. Commoners are not supposed to have sweet things. That is only for the nobles. But you and Gloria, you sneak a piece of his candied fruit, and he catches you. And it's kind of an echo of the previous choices. You can choose to accept your punishment, defy him or whatever. If you have the willpower and the necessary stats for it, you can choose to make fun of him, saying, "Yeah, it wasn't very good anyway. Like it's way too sweet. Only a useless noble would eat it. Would like this."
He gets all lemongrass about it. Anytime I could defy Gregor, I did.
Yes. Yeah.
And then later his tomb got desecrated, and I was like, "Fuck yes, rotten hell, you old mummy."
Yep.
Yeah.
So I love the line after this. If when you make fun of him, just after you've taken your punishments, he beats the shit out of you. Gloria says, "We got him so riled up. 2 commoners made an honorable noble feel helpless. Makes all the pain worth it, isn't it? Isn't that right, brother?" And like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, Gloria is based. So there's special events. If you looked at the ants when you were young, you get an ant farm. This is the thing again that opens up kind of religious path. You're studying the ants and seeing their caste system, and you can reject this or accept it.
Like you can.
It's also a thing your mom bonds with you over.
Yes, like you can take the worker ants and put them next to the food, and they don't go for it. Yeah,
they don't eat the candy. There's a kaleidoscope that Gloria bought that you can fuck with, and you can ask your father to teach you the basics of using a sword. I did all 3 of these things.
Yeah.
Through this, only the ant farm came up as a choice later, and it didn't end up, amounting to anything.
Right.
I kept expecting the sword thing to happen, and this is where later when I ran to I know how to use a sword, but I'm just not fucking brave enough to do this. And I'm like, yeah, no, fair.
Yep.
Got me. Got him.
I get the principle. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna fight somebody with a sword. Even if I know how to do it.
It's super scary.
Yeah. I don't want to, and I had extra lives. I just didn't want to use them.
Yeah. I think I got that one lesser death and I didn't get any more.
I definitely, I had one during the revolution as well. I just had the 2, but I didn't want to die forever because I didn't know what would happen.
Yeah.
In the game. And it's like, well, if I weren't doing it for the show, though, I might have done it and been like, that was my Sir Brante. I fucked around and I found out.
Yeah.
As a thing, but I needed to see the end.
Yes.
That's because I was doing it for the show and because I wanted the narrative's really compelling.
Yeah. So this chapter ends with you and Nathan taking your first sacrament, going through what Stefan and Gloria did before. And Nathan is too young to understand. They just kind of put him up there and he gets whipped and, just crying about it. Yeah.
He's way younger than you are. It's a real kid just being set on spikes and whipped for no reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is that's gonna set him up. That probably has something to do with the way he turned out. But when you go up to get whipped, you have choice of what you can do. You can accept it. You can stand while you're being whipped. You can catch the whip, or
the coolest thing that you could do is catch the whip, but that's hard to do.
Yeah.
These last 2 options I didn't have as an option.
Yeah. Or you can sneak a kiss of the sword. And set yourself on the path toward nobility. Your dad and your grandpa fucking love this.
Yeah. Yep. And we're the grandpa's a monster. Your dad isn't a monster.
Right.
He wants this because he's thinking about what would be good for his kids. Right.
Right.
In my personal life, I don't relate very much to that theme, but we're talking about it there's, obviously, you're gonna be Gloria pilled because she's not a fascist. But the idea that in this society, if the world is just going to work as it does, you can make the argument I would love to have my kids set up in perpetuity.
Right.
That is a big get, and you can buy the argument that it is worth an amount of crapulence.
Yeah.
To get there, especially when I see the amount of crapulence I did to tear down that system.
Yes.
I got killed, by my grandpa. A lot of kids died.
Yeah.
Because of what I did. Final deaths too. It wasn't like my little beating. So even just to tear this down, I did way worse things than my grandpa ever did.
People sacrifice their principles for security every single day.
Yes.
It is why having values is expensive. Right?
Yes.
And
it takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it in a world where God literally says, if you have this mark, you will suffer and you will like it. You would want for your kids to have an affluent life that is not defined by the suffering that is inflicted upon them. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah. So I stood as well. I really wanted to catch the whip, but I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I stood because if I'm going to take this, I'm going to take it with dignity, right?
Because fuck the Empire.
Yeah.
That was basically what my entire playthrough was.
Yes.
Was fuck this system. It's unjust. This moves you into chapter 2, adolescence.
Right.
And your stats change. Your childhood stats go away, and you get 3 new ones that are influenced by your former ones. 3 new stats are nobility, ingenuity, and spirituality.
Right. And we get some other screens that can open up to let us keep track of the wider doings of the world as, your personal world expands. You're no longer just kept to the house anymore. So you get a map of the empire. I thought, I'm going to be spanning this entire thing. They have tons of world building for these different provinces that you never go to.
Well, you go to some of them in some of the paths.
Yes.
That we don't go to.
Okay.
So we are Magra.
Yeah.
People.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our home province.
Yes.
Yeah. But you can also see which lord you're under, which patriarch you have under the under the church, and then also which faith is ascendant in those areas. There's something called the new faith, which is all about it's like a Protestant Reformation kind of thing. It's about throwing off the lots. Yep.
And then your province has stats as well. So power, the general power, it's church, power, wealth, and order.
Mm-hmm.
We get some more world details during this, which we'll talk about before we get into events. So the city we live in is Anazot, or Anazote. That's actually what it is. I think that's how they pronounce it when they say the what you're the butcher of.
Oh, maybe. I think it's Anazot because it's influenced by French. I don't remember them saying Anazote.
I'm pretty sure they did, but not worth arguing over.
Okay.
It would be worth checking. Doesn't matter. In the province of Magra
mm-hmm.
there. And Magra is built on an old empire. The soil was made infernal by magical blast from a war years ago, so much so that they have to have soil shipped in
mm-hmm.
to grow things. Like trucks of dirt come in so you can grow things.
Yes.
The primary industry is mining. Gunpowder is new. They're using it for mining.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a huge accident that happens where a bunch of people die, and they ban this. The miners have to go back to digging manually. This all seems like superfluous detail,
mm-hmm.
the way that it would when you're 8 and you learn about this stuff.
No.
All this stuff becomes really important when you come back home in the Lotless Path.
It is just like, one day, smoke came down from the mountain and we could not go outside. For several days. We never really learned exactly what happened because it was covered up. Yeah.
Yeah. You can ask your dad, and I love that scene. He's
mm-hmm.
like dead-eyed explaining it at dinner.
Yeah.
What happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we find out about the Arcneans. We know from the title we're in the Arcnean Empire, but Arcneans are a different race. They're basically elves. They are marked by their light blue skin. And they're this overclass that has conquered humanity and rolled them into the empire, and only started granting them nobility when they expanded too much. There are just not enough Arcneans around to properly rule it.
Yes, very, very Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Like this kind of idea of incorporating people as citizens because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do this.
Right.
It's a thing, and also throwing the nobles a crumb. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We think we are under the illusion this whole time that our grandpa is striving for the highest rung. He will never get the highest rung.
No.
The same way that you will never be Elon Musk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a recent development. There's a quorum decree. This group of wealthy commoners that is empowered by the empire to weigh in on tax rates.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea here, these are the wealthier commoners, the ones who are business owners and stuff, who get one say in the government, and it's just tax rates.
Yes. And it is just the little pieces of power that they dangle to placate people.
Yes.
And what I love about the fact that there are different strata in these lots is this is very specifically set up to destroy solidarity in between them, right?
Yeah.
There are people, who are in the wealthier caste who are not who are not speaking out against the lot system itself. They are saying, why should I have the same rights as, these dirt farmers who I fucking oppress?
Who I employ.
Yeah.
Like who I oppress and employ.
Yeah.
Like I should be I'm upper, lower class.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the city's main claim to importance is it's the site of the Silver Tree. This is a manifestation of the twins when they had come to our world at one point,
mm-hmm.
and it is a common destination for pilgrimages.
Right.
We talked about earlier a little bit about these faiths.
Mm-hmm.
There's a schism in the faith of the empire. The old faith holds to the lots, and the new faith, this Protestant thing, is saying the lots were not hand-bound by the twins. These are speculations by an apostle,
mm-hmm.
Asatius.
Yeah.
So, we did not, this is all not the word of God. This is an interpretation of a human.
Yes. Therefore not divine, therefore not written in stone. Right.
Yep. We should not do that.
Yeah. So a big part of this chapter is meeting our friends. We're leaving the house, we're going to school, seeing the neighborhood, and we're meeting some characters who are going to be very important for the rest of the game.
Yes. Yeah. So we meet Thomas, a tailor's son, after a scuffle involving our little fail brother, who's already a little shithead.
Yeah.
He's not mean. He's just bad. I don't know how to describe it. He's just a problem dog. Like, he can't do anything.
Yeah. It's sad. I have a lot of sympathy for Nathan.
Oh, me too. I did everything. He's the only family member I did right by, ultimately, on accident. So you become friends with him. It's your younger brother versus his younger brother, and they're gonna pit their stands against each other as older brothers. And then the dad comes out, and you're united.
Yes.
And he is in kind of a worse economic situation than you are. He starts showing you like hidden parts of the town, what he gets up to.
Yeah.
Running around.
So you can be little dirtbags together, little urchins. You can go around and like build forts inside the walls. This town is built on parts of an old empire. There are ruins to go play in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also meet a commoner girl across the street, Sophia. We have a big crush on her. One of the things that can happen in this chapter, I think, is first like feelings of romance.
Yes.
But she's about to be trampled by noblemen's horses. And you have to push her out of the way to survive this, and you would take a lesser death. I did not do this, even though I ended up pledging myself to Sophia, kind of just on accident later. And it just makes that easier if you did that here. But I also didn't know how often death was going to show up.
Yeah.
So again, that kind of macrocosm of that spending willpower thing. Like, I'm going to take the shitty choice now because I might want this resource for later. This is another version of that.
Yeah. If you don't take the lesser death for her family gets really overprotective, and you don't see her again for a very long time. In fact, I think it says you don't see her again ever. But she's taken into the house.
And we find out what happens to her after this, and it's real bleak.
Very.
This is one of the worst things that happens to a character in this game.
Yeah. We also see our first Arcnean. They just aren't around very much. But there's a young noblewoman from the local family related to the Archduke. Her name is Octavia Milonitis. And she's riding by on this carriage, and she drops her handkerchief, and you can decide what to do with it. You can give it back to her, which sparks up the feelings, or you can, take it with Tomas, go and sell it, and split the proceeds.
If you I give it back to her, it doesn't spark up feelings. She backhands you, or her man backhands you.
Oops.
And she says, I wouldn't touch that after you touched it anyway.
Oh.
But it gives you the Octavia will remember you thing, which I think pays off in the noble path.
Yes.
Is where you will interface with her later. And I think she is not still a crumb bum. Then I think she might be a romance option during that. But all she did was hit me and disappear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I sold it. What's it to her? It's a little piece of cloth.
Yep. On a trip to the Silver Tree, we hear there's a new faith preacher. He's explaining, about the lots, and a young woman named Jeannie comes and tries to steer you away from them.
Yeah.
This is you meeting the romance. All three of these in a row are you meeting the romances for the three paths. So Octavia is the one who you would romance in the noble path. Jeannie is the one you would romance in the priest path.
I think Jean, like Jeanne d'Arc kind of thing. I think is what they're going for. Yeah. Just want to clarify. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So as you're heading here, some people in the world have this natural magical power that will awaken. We find this out here. Oh, that the new faith preacher. This is where he gets assassinated.
No, that's right? Later. That's later in this chapter.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
and these are two separate events. Like you learn about the new faith here by deciding to go to the preacher and read from her book. Good.
I forgot that was set up.
Yes,
it wasn't just Yep.
But
we also find out there are mages. There are mutants in this world.
Yes.
It's an X-Men game.
Yeah. There are people who have this natural magical power that awakens in time of great distress. You learn this when you are in school and a kid gets punished for getting an answer wrong, and then just starts laughing and spewing flames out of themselves. Then they're hauled away and put into silver collars. These silver collars, we're told right now that they suppress their magic. It's actually much more horrifying. Like, it suppresses their will.
Yep. They're mutant control collars. It's very mutant coded.
Yeah.
So as you go through, there are some events. Stefan returns with your grandfather, and he sucks. He's got the Nazi haircut from like 2016.
Yep. This kind of side cut kind of thing.
Yeah. And we have dinner here with this local magistrate, Baron Augustin Elborn, and he's really cool. Like, he shows compassion. He's a friend of your father's. And even though this is the first noble we've met who doesn't suck.
Yes.
Like, he's even the ascended noble, but he's really nice. And at this dinner, this is where you can really kind of shit things up a little bit.
Because at this dinner, one of the servants spills something, and then Stefan decides that he's gonna be Mr. Big Britches. And Force was like, you're gonna. Gregor sends the servants away, and then Stefan says, "Well, we have commoners right here. Lydia and Gloria, get up from your plates. Continue. Just resume service." And you can decide that you're not going to stand for this. You can just let this happen. You can go and like comfort them later, or you can stand up for them and tell Stefan, like, how dare you speak without Gregor's permission? You're not a noble.
You could also, I joined them.
Oh, okay.
Like you can, they both love that. I'd be like, okay, well, I guess if we're doing this, then we're doing this.
Yeah.
I will suffer with them rather than be alone.
Yeah.
Or rather than let them be alone. The Stefan also doesn't like that.
No.
So the night you have a final exam, the night before this, you get a choice of what to study. And your younger brother notices how stressed you are and offers to help.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see between the lines that he's also struggling.
Yeah.
You can spend some time with your younger brother, or you can study one of these things and see how you do. I also spent time with him. I felt bad for the little shit.
Yeah, you spend the day going out and like building stuff in the yard, which is, I don't know, test is a test, whatever. Yeah,
I know education's fake.
Yeah.
At 13, your mother sits down and says, like, listen, there's some things you need to know about your family history. Gloria, your sister, is a product of rape. A nobleman raped me while I was young. They can do that. And that is, so she is more scandalous than even, just being a commoner.
Yeah. She doesn't just have, this commoner child who she's bringing into the family. She has an illegitimate, commoner child. And this happens, and the noble, just, disappeared on her, didn't offer any support, didn't want to deal with the consequences. She went to the judges and lost. However, Robert was one of the judges who was, who was there. Robert fell in love with her and promised, okay, I promise I'll take care of you and your child. And this greatly hurt the family's status. This is why Gregor wants her out, because she is this living, breathing black mark. Her and Gloria specifically, black mark on the family.
Yeah. And your father, I didn't end up getting along with my father in this game very well, but he's not a bad man. Like, he's within the system. He's trying to reform it, but he was sympathetic to this. He's not made of stone.
Yes.
He's not his father. I say, I'll always accept Gloria as my sister, and then say that she should be part of the family. And your mother isn't sure about that. Your mother's, you can see the kind of complexity of this. She feels this guilt. She doesn't want to just bring down this entire enterprise after this kindness, right?
Yeah.
Like, the things that her grandfather or the grandfather is saying are getting to her. And partly because there's a seed of truth. Like, her misfortune is the reason why the family is not doing better.
Yeah.
And is not more on this path to success. So she is willing to suffer to let them not as a thing, as is her lot.
And it sets into relief that nobility is not actually tied to how good of a deed you do. It's about striving, right? Robert did an incredibly compassionate thing, right?
Yes.
And is punished for it.
Yep. It's the wrong compassionate thing.
Yeah. Next big event is the 100th anniversary of the Emperor. Ulthar Tempest got coronated 100 years ago, and Stefan returns home for the celebration. And Gloria is missing.
Yes. She head off to the ruined estate where like the forts and the poetry and all the stuff happens. An infamous magic using noble, the rebel Duke Charmelandius or Melanidas. Very cool. And Stefan, who is this is the first thing that Stefan does that's sympathetic. He's like, I'm following the rules, even though I don't like Gloria and she brings shame to the family. We have to protect our family.
Yes.
Like that is necessary. Let's head out.
Yeah. Noblesse oblige.
Let's go.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, let's round up. We find there are these local toughs who are attacking her. Stefan draws his sword and tells me to flank them. I go ahead and do this.
Okay.
I help him fight because I wanted to protect Gloria.
Yeah.
And Stefan ends up defeating them, ends up killing some of them, or hurting, attacking some of them.
Yeah. Getting them lesser deaths, for doing this. I ran for help. I think, the outcome that was shown to me on that was a little bit more favorable for what I wanted to do. I think I was building toward being like more ingenious than noble. And so, I ran for help. Regardless,
it doesn't do noble. It might be spirituality to help. I can't remember what it is.
Maybe
I didn't pursue noble during this.
But this breaks our grudge. Like we got the bad blood status before by insulting him, and then he comes around. Like you actually showed yourself useful.
Yeah, I think I don't think I had the bad blood from joining the servants. He didn't like it, but I don't think I was quite as bad.
Yeah,
and this made him kind of like me for a year,
for a second,
basically. Yeah. But this ends up, more things happen. He defeated them there. Gregor lauds him. He doesn't say anything to you during it. But there's a trial.
Yeah.
And Gregor is pushing for a true death execution of these toughs.
Yeah.
So the way that works, you get the 3 lives, but if they can just make those 3 lives happen.
Yeah.
And the twins, they accede to law. So if somebody is found guilty of death and then they die, they won't be brought back.
Yes.
Like the gods agree with the verdict.
And that can change. We're going to talk about that in the Revolution chapter when that shifts. But
it's one of my favorite reveals in like a game. It's very good.
Yeah. But just the fact that that it's malleable is pretty great. Or just the idea, like, okay, God and country, right? To see one, literally bend to another. That's interesting to me.
Cool.
Yeah. So Robert, the night before the trial, the night before we give testimony, he pulls us aside and says, hey, here's the story that you're going to tell. We need to make sure that this that they get a guilty verdict, but also we don't want to get in court and put on the public record that Gloria is a part of our family.
It's going to remind people.
Yes.
Like people know this, but it's going to be a scandal.
Yes.
I also convinced them this is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. It's like, you're a judge. Like we should tell the truth. Like
it's your daughter, dude.
Yeah. They still attacked her.
Yeah. So you testify the truth. The kids are still executed. No good ending for them.
Yeah.
And Gregor is furious.
Yes.
We defied him. We put Gloria's relationship on Front Street. It's going to be bad. Then I love this scene as well. Your grandfather falls ill. And as he's descending into dimension madness.
Yes.
He is, puttering around the house, ranting. He's old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this goes on until one night you stumble upon him standing in your mother's room holding an oil lantern. He is raving, saying, I should have done something, long ago. I know that I'm going to be sent to the foot for allowing, this to my family to fall in such a state. But if I'm going to die, I'm going to atone. I'm going to burn this house down, since Robert and Stefan are away. And take the house away, but also take away the commoners who have blighted us.
Like burn away away the mark on our name. I also had the willpower to stop him. This was a great reason to save willpower. Like, this is what taught me for the rest of the game that I need to keep some in reserve.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, because I wasn't about to. You can stop him entirely. You can also try to save the kids.
Yes.
Is the other option. You can go save your sister and your brother. You can't save your mom, though, if you can't stop him.
Right.
You know,
This takes willpower because you have to catch the lantern before it falls, burning your hands. And I did this, and then he takes a swing at you, but he misses, and then this is great. He dies his true death on his feet.
Yeah. The other thing with true death, the other wrinkle that we haven't talked about yet, is sometimes it's just time.
Yeah.
Like you get the 3, you get the true death in law, but there's nothing to imply that this is his 4th death.
Mm-hmm.
They also say that sometimes it just happens.
Yes.
There is still the arbitrariness of, the gods deciding that.
Yeah.
And I'm hooting and hollering at this point. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Rotten hell, you old lich.
Yeah, eat shit.
Yeah. Very good. But another like cosmological wrinkle happens here that's really cool. After his death, your father and brother show up, and you have to go to a vigil at the crypt. There's a ritual where you have to join your family's blood tide.
Yeah.
This is a thing where there is this ever-flowing pool of blood in your family crypt that your blood is added to.
Yeah. And
through this.
And it is a store of power that the nobility can draw upon.
Yes. Yeah. You're going to cut your hand and add to the blood tide. And when you do this, or regardless of what you do this, your grandfather's spirit speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this crypt is also a place where you commune with your dead.
Yes.
Of your family. And again, you cannot be an atheist. You cannot not believe in the supernatural in this game. It just happens to you constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't have any option but to hand the dagger back. I had not followed the path of the noble for any of this. And then I got cast out. Like the spirit cast me out. I imagine something similar happened to you.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly the stats, but something like that.
Yeah. So eventually we learn what happened to Sophia after the encounter with the horses there. She was pledged into the service of a nobleman, this horrible high-ranking nobleman named Dorius Otten, who mistreats her. She escapes, and you run into her in hiding, and she's like, "Hey, you treated me like a plaything, literal child. Like, you are, 9 years old at this point, or you're like 13, 14. It's terrible."
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to find out, this includes sex assault in addition to just normal abuse that becomes canonical later here. I didn't have a willpower at this point to help her escape.
Okay.
At this, I could just hide.
Okay. Through
that. I don't know if it changes things, because the same next thing happened for me as well.
Yeah.
So it just happened inside the warehouse.
Yeah. So I helped her, and this started the love interest kind of thing. Okay. Regardless, I distracted the guards, and I distracted Otten, but he's still kind of caught up. And Sophia reveals that she's a witch. Like, she turns around and her blue eyes turn bright yellow, and she casts this binding spell on Otten, holding him in place just long enough so she can run to safety, to get away, get out of town.
We call her a witch. I think that the mutant metaphor is better because she has one power.
Yes.
This is what she can do.
Yeah.
She can basically cast hold person on people.
Yeah. In the world, she's called a witch, but you're right.
Yeah. She's not sitting around doing, other cool. She's not casting bless on you to get you a +1 on your willpower checks. So after this, she flees town.
Yeah.
After this, she binds Otten and runs away. Gloria and you go to the Silver Tree. This is where the patriarch, the provincial patriarch Fotis, is going to speak, and he is a member of the New Faith there. And this is where he's explaining that. A man at this point jumps on stage and stabs him.
Yeah.
And he does not come back. Anyone who has this great power, endowed by the twins, will not get lesser deaths.
Right.
So big deal at this point, and huge, schism
Yeah.
Like, one of the things I like about this is that usually you are making choices for things. Things will happen without your input.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get a little screen and it'll be like, the new faith has lost power.
Yes.
From this, like, as a result of this event. I didn't do anything. It's just the world changing around me because it's a living world.
A ridiculous number of things do revolve around you. I like that they include, things that are just like, oh, this is a social force that is, that is moving on, especially when you're young, right?
Yeah, you're undeniably an important person to this world, but also,
so it's the night before your 16th birthday. On your 16th birthday, you're going to do like Stefan did. You're going to move to the capital in order to study law. To study at this academy and become a judge. And at dinner, you kind of get the different conflicting appeals. Robert, your dad, wants you to pursue the path of nobility. He wants you to follow in the family footsteps, become a noble of the mantle, and become a judge. Whereas Lydia, says, keep your mind open to the clergy. Look for things that inspire your faith. Right.
And that is a weird roundabout way of also making sure you have a better path. It doesn't ensure anything for your children, but the clergy are better treated than commoners, and that's basically the best thing her imagination can hope for, right? As with her situation, you get a choice to who to hang out with. I also hung out with Gloria, and you just sat around talking about everything is fake and dumb. And I'm like, yeah, again, I got to play me in these type of games.
Yeah, like, we got to be protagonists in a Mountain Goats song.
Exactly. Gloria, have you heard about credit ratings? If you ask about it, it goes down, but you don't get to just know it. Like, what kind of leprechaun bullshit is this?
Yeah.
I hate it.
But she talks like she's been breaking into the family library and reading and, saying like, I learned, like, we're told that, the lots are the lots and the nobility is the nobility, but like the Arknians are, it's above everything else. So like,
yes,
our family, Stefan and Gregor, they do all of this shit to still become nobody. Right.
Yep. Yep, always going to be second rung.
Yeah, there is nobodies who live off the work of others. And she says, like, don't listen to our parents. Like, do what you want. And only do it because you want it.
Promise you won't do anything that's a rule. I love how the kind of the stratification in the noble caste is shown to you before it's told to you. In that your dad is fucking miserable.
Yep,
like he is a noble, but he is so overworked. Like when the mine explosion happens, he comes home. He's like, I haven't slept in days. Like, it's just been court case after court case. Like, he is supposed to be, near the top of the chain, but he's working as hard as your mother is. This brings us into chapter 3, youth. And this is where the chapters start getting split up by years there, where the chapters correspond to a year.
Yeah. Or just I put these in as sub markers. It's always been telling us like what age we're at as it progresses.
Yeah. I guess it's more important here.
Yes.
It's worth noting the fourth chapter is the longest one. So this is still in the kind of prologue a little bit that most people have similar experiences.
And the end of this is where things branch. Right.
Yep.
So we're 16. We go off to the capital, which is a city called Eterna, and we go there with Thomas. And we get our adult stats. I love the way this is handled because your stats from childhood come back, and they combine with the 3 adolescent stats and determine the levels for all 6 of the final stats that you get: diplomacy, manipulation, theology, valor, scheming, and eloquence.
Yes. I was a real big manipulation and scheming person in this.
It's kind of depressing how we end up doing the same shit.
It's not exactly the same shit, but I mean, we're friends. We have similar values, and we're role playing. I did a little bit of theology as well. I was like, flirting with that, a little bit of diplomacy, a little bit of eloquence, no valor. And I gotta be me.
Pretty much the same. Yeah. Like, so the way this sets out, it's a little bit like D&D stats, to a degree in terms of the scale. Like, 10 is the bare minimum to make success on some things. And there are some more difficult things that need 17 to 18. And then like, there are only a couple that have a 20 threshold in the entire game. Yeah.
You have to be superhuman. And again, it can feel demoralizing, but these stats are going to continue to go up.
Yes.
And down, like as you continue to play.
Yeah. Like you graduate into your youth as like a level 1 adventurer, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Tomas goes on to apply to the military academy, and you get to hang out in the city. It's first year college stuff. It's real fun. You get to choose how you spend your time. I went and hung out with some roustabouts.
Okay.
And made friends. Got drunk and met a girl who I didn't remember the next day. I was wilding out.
Yeah, I saw myself because I knew a revolt was coming. I was like, I'm going to be a thinker of this revolt. So I went and attended a political speech. And
tell me about that.
Yeah. So an industrialist, this guy named Gert Arkwright, who actually earlier in the game insulted Gregor. He's talking about how does this guy have the temerity to speak to me about about rights. He's up there and he is saying like, yeah, why should I, this incredibly wealthy person be treated like a commoner? This is the guy who is making, making the case for subdividing the commoners up into, the haves and have-nots, right?
Yeah. Upper and lower commoners.
Yeah.
Do this. Another day you're walking around, you run across a public sermon of the New Faith by Patriarch Luke of Archnia, somebody from Archnia. And the Inquisition shows up. There is an Inquisition. They have a church militant, a faith militant here. And you're able to stay. You can choose to run or stay. And if you stay, you get addressed. The commoner lot is destined to suffer. Not all of us are ready for that.
Yeah.
I kind of get this split.
Yeah, I love the scene because like people run because it's the Inquisition and they do terrible things to people. But if you stay, like the guy who comes up to you to kind of witness is not uncompassionate. Yeah.
Or really unreasonable. Yeah. Like what the Inquisition before, instead of leading with the flail, they walk up to you and just start explaining, their position.
Yeah.
And ultimately I was like, you can argue with them. That's one of the options, and end up being like, I disagree. And they're like, I disagree, but hopefully you'll come around.
Yeah.
And
then of course they say like, hey, you're probably going to get in trouble if you keep doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm nice for now, but eventually the flail's coming out.
Yeah. We learned that the political head of this, new faith here in the capital, like of this movement, there's Patriarch Luke, but there's also Patriarch Junius Diamond from the new faith, who's going to be pretty important in the Lawless Path, at least here in this chapter.
Yes. So you end up having some time for recreation. You option to go to a dueling club, a secret salon with a political speaker, and the Marknian Society, which is more debauchery. I, of course, went to the secret salon.
Of course, yep.
Secret salon. And Sophia is here. And you're very shocked to see her. This is the first time you've seen her since she escaped. Before she can start, though, the Imperial police flood the place.
Right.
And arrest you all for insurrection. I ran away as well.
Yeah.
At this point, because I don't need to get arrested.
Yeah. So age 17, Cornelius Tempest, one of the sons of the emperor, becomes Great Chancellor. Younger brother to the emperor, sorry. And he gives this speech saying like, hey, there is this new set of laws coming. It's called the Creed. It is going to grant basic rights across all of the states, Archnian and human. This doesn't happen. And it just raises the ire of the nobility to push against it.
It doesn't happen now. It's
right.
You can treat
make
with
it
this
happen.
person. Yeah, you can make it happen. It's one of the options I didn't get. This internal reform, the liberal idea can happen.
Yes.
Sophia, though, because now I'm on the Sophia path, asked me to do her a favor and smuggle this professor out of the city.
Yeah.
So I do this as well. Because of course, I'm trying to get into the secret society
Yeah.
She then explains, basically what she's been doing.
Yeah.
She's dedicated her life to fighting injustice under the pseudonym The Owl.
Yeah.
After she fled Anazot, she was caught, collared, and taken to the House of Humility.
Yeah.
This is where the mutants are kept, the mages are kept.
Yeah.
And put a collar, but she was saved by this Patriarch Junius Diamant. Who we mentioned before, who is a prominent Arcanian progressive.
Yes.
who is also fighting for the rights of the witches, the mages.
Right. Yeah.
And she asks you to consider joining her at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, secret society. I'll join the X-Men.
Please. Yes.
Like, yeah. You don't have to be one of the shitty humans that hangs out with them every once in a while. I'll be Candy Southern. Yeah, I don't care.
I am your Moira McTaggart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that poll, Gary.
Yeah. No, it's a very good poll. I am resisting every urge to explain all the developments that have happened with Moira McTaggart because she's a mutant now.
Oh, I didn't know you could. Okay. All right.
It's good. It's not stupid.
Okay.
But it's also a really long thing to explain.
Okay.
Krakoa era of X-Men is really neat.
Oh, okay.
I recommend people read it. Houses of X, Powers of X is really cool.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So the big choice comes. It's the day of your entrance exams. Wait, this isn't the big choice, right? Sorry.
No, this is yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. But it's the day of your entrance exams, and you are denied. This Archduke Agarius Monroe, I wonder if he's a bad guy.
Monroe
arrives to the college with soldiers saying, "Hey, the exam is canceled." Because the academy is closed to all scions of nobles of the mantle. Like, that's not good enough for you to get in anymore. I'm doing this in defiance of the emperor because the nobility must be protected.
Yes. And priest arrived to usher people back to their lots. Like, go suffer. You don't need to learn.
Yeah.
Go do some suffering. And we get this vision of the empire in flames through here. I was imagining the Kill Bill music during that. And then Sophia shows up. Here and says like, hey, this promise of advancement that they have, this is just a bone they can dangle in front of us and take it away.
Yeah.
I have a group, we're called the Lotless, and we're going to try to break the siege and rescue the people who are inside the college.
Yeah.
There.
This is the big choice.
I joined.
Yes.
Yeah. So I joined Sophia here. And because that sounds good. There, and she uses her powers. She freezes the guards in place. The Lotless rush in, and we grab the examinees and get them out.
Yeah,
lead them to a safe house where Sophia starts trying to recruit them.
Right. Though we did not get in, Tomas comes around and says, "Hey, I've got good news. I was accepted into the military academy. But this means we might never see each other again. Like, he's going to go be part of the Legion." And gives you a choice. When you're breaking this off, says like, "Hey, do you want to swear yourself to friendship with me? We can wear these cool rings. They've got a whistle on them you can blow, and symbolize the bond of friendship. You can totally not take this. In fact, this hems you in on a later thing. But Tomas is good. Like Tomas, he's going off and joining them.
He's a rough and tumble. Fella, but he's fun. I did this as well, assuming it would come in handy. Didn't get the worst ending as possible for Tomas, but it's in terms of people I know, it's pretty good. But most people I know did not turn out great in this game.
Not at all.
So there was a worse one that could have happened with him.
I think I got the worst one.
We'll see. Because the one I got is pretty bad.
Yeah.
You write your family and you have to admit to them that you didn't get into the academy, and your father's furious.
Yeah.
Your brother's furious. Your father revokes support. I've been supporting you while you're in the city. You no longer get our money.
Yeah.
If you're not going to go to school.
Yeah. But Gloria, she's proud, right? You took her advice.
Yeah. He didn't follow anything that was a rule.
Yeah.
And Sophia starts manipulating you really early. This is going to have, I love Sophia's character.
Yes.
In this as a very complicated villain. Basically is how I've landed on her.
Yeah.
So she starts manipulating here. You need to go find new recruits.
Yeah.
You can you can recruit directly to give speeches. You can print leaflets there. Leaflets are safer.
Yeah.
Than that. So I did leaflets as well.
Yeah.
This also kind of dovetails well with your next profession.
Yes.
Through here.
Yeah. Because, leaflets. I want to be a Thomas Paine figure, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's age 18, and this big event is coming up. The Empire undergoes this rite of purification. Anybody who has been caught as a witch is brought forward for a trial. The ones who agree will be collared, but those who refuse will be burned alive in the public square.
Yes.
Sophia does not want this to happen. She wants to plan this march to the right in order to support the mages, maybe to stop this. And her intention is to get Patriarch Junius Diamond on board.
Yeah, he's already sympathetic to the mages, and he's very powerful.
Yes.
To do this, though, we need to build up our ranks to make up for all the people who left. They, out of fear of fighting this Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
So you can focus on a faction to recruit, or you can help Sophia get her strength up. I think I did the strength up one because it gave me more willpower, and I was like, this is going to be intense. I need willpower.
Yeah.
This might have been one of the choices. I did the easy thing.
Yeah, I made the same choice, but it was like, okay, this movement needs a leader, and she can be that, right? So
she's tired.
Yes.
She's very sleepy.
You get some letters from home, and things are not going well. Stefan has basically taken Gregor's place, becoming this terror around the house, and Lydia's health is deteriorating. Like, as the family's unity gets worse, she gets sicker, and Nathan is just not thriving. There is no place for him in this world.
Failure to launch for Nathan. So the March of the Cottlers turns into this all-out riot. Sophia is about to command the Lawless to attack the Inquisition, but she gets kind of held up. I also had the scheming because I was schemy.
Mm-hmm.
I went and freed the mages.
Yeah.
You sneak up and you free them.
Yes.
While this is happening. Yeah. You run to cut them free. One of the Inquisitors, who ends up being Jean, who we saw, actually helps you and thanks you for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the romance. If you go the priest path, she's a good person. But
yeah. This complicated. She's not just this this zealot. She sees the injustice in what's being done, right?
Yes.
I thought this was going to add up to more. We free the woman that we free is this person named Alice, also called the Golden Voice. Otherwise, she would have died. I never see her again. Did you have anything with her?
No, I assume you can though.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. I assume she's important to another path because she
has a portrait.
Yeah, she has a portrait and but she never became a thing for me.
Yeah. So the heat's up and Sophia says, hey, go lay low for a while. We'll contact you when we're ready to regroup.
Yes. This is so insidious and good. I was absolutely blindsided by all of this.
Yeah.
So age 19, Cornelius Tempest is ousted as the chancellor, replaced by Monrogue, the asshole.
Yes.
And he's convinced the emperor that the lowborn were getting too much freedom.
Yeah.
Those kids from Party Academy are having too much fun. Gaius Tempest is made the overseer of Magra.
Mm-hmm.
So the more progressive one is now the overseer of your home state.
Yes. And the Archduke, his powers are reduced. So here comes this overseer. This Archduke does not get the power that he thinks he deserves, but he's still in a position. So it sets up this power struggle that's going to define the peacetime chapter.
Yes. So after months of no sign from Sophia or the Lawless, a meeting is finally called. And Sophia, fewer people show up because some people died and everything, and quit. But people are there, and she says, listen, I have one small favor to ask everyone. Don't do anything foolish. And then she casts Hold Person on the whole group.
Yes.
She ensorcels everybody, and something called the Secret Chancellery floods into the basement, killing and arresting the Lawless when they cannot defend themselves.
Right.
Here. Sophia has betrayed us.
We've been sold out.
We're a false flag. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing was a counter op. One of those things.
Yeah. Well, maybe not the whole thing. I don't know if she was working with the chancellor the whole time. I think that she was caught.
She's manipulated.
And then co-opted.
She gets co-opted.
Yeah. I love the spy shit in this so fucking much.
Oh, it's super good.
Yeah.
It's great. This idea, and it's so revealing about Sophia's character when this gets further developed as a thing. Sophia does have values.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, they are secondary to revenge.
Yeah.
Which is ultimately the goal.
Yes.
And that is a really interesting motivation for a freedom fighter who is in this. There are no unalloyed good people in this game. And even people who initially think, except maybe your mom.
Yeah.
But people who you think are going to be great. Okay, this person's on the right. Video game coding tells me this is the correct character.
Yes.
This is the one who is right. She's really not. I end up being fairly comfortable with what I accomplished in this game, even though it was horrific. her version of it was worse and more horrible. And she was mostly motivated for revenge for being sold into sex slavery into a noble as a kid. And the thing that makes this game good is like, right on.
Yeah.
Like, I also get that. Like, yeah, that is a huge problem that should be answered by monsterism. You know, it is too much to expect people to turn the other cheek in the face of something like that.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and just it ends up being so complicated when you learn about her relationship to the post that she ends up getting.
Yes.
And how it relates to just fatigue from having fought so much. And you know, ultimately gets around to I don't know. We'll talk about it because it's gonna expand. But like, she is further on the path of becoming jaded than we are, even above and beyond just the horrible circumstances of her youth. Right.
Yeah. And I live in the real world. Like, I deal with this shit all the time. You'd think that me role playing, I'd be very jaded, but she's even further.
Yeah.
Really great little twist here. Here.
Yeah.
So I resist the hold person.
Okay.
Through here and fight back.
Okay.
Some of the guards, stop them from killing some of the lotless, but then end up getting like a rifle butt to my forehead.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And get knocked out.
I was taking notes, and when I clicked on the game window, I misclicked and picked the option to surrender to the guard, which Sophia thanks me for.
Yeah. Don't do anything foolish.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're in prisons for months.
Yep. Yes. And then we're introduced to another great villain of this game. You're interrogated by this noble Philippe El Ferro. And you wake up, he's there, and Sophia is there as well, standing around.
Yeah, standing at his side, basically.
Yep.
And we see the dynamic here because Philippe is under the impression that it was Junius Diamant that ordered the assault on the rite of purification.
Yes.
Sophia has given him false information, casting the blame upward. Right?
Yes.
And he says, this secret society of the Lotless, we turned it into this honeypot to gather all of the insurrectionists in one place, and you fell for it.
Yep. And it, this was all part of our plan here. We're secret police. He says, you're going to be executed, and then your whole family will follow and also be executed. But Sophia saves your life. She convinces him that your skills are useful. We can actually, there's all this tension, in your hometown now, because of the new overseer here. We could do the same thing. We could start a little franchise of these false flag, fake revolutions.
Yeah.
That gets stomped down for political reasons.
It's a color revolution, right? Like,
yes.
we will seed this in order to set up something, divert this energy into a conduit that we control, so then we can just cut that branch off. Yeah.
Yes. So at this point, I think you agree one way or another. You can.
You can get it. You can get a true death here. Yeah.
Yeah. You can fuck up and get killed here. But you convince him that you're good for it. You can. It gives you a choice to be like, I'm actually going to do it versus I'm not going to.
Yeah.
There is a event here that can happen. I didn't have this. I didn't have a stat for it or willpower. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But you can downplay the activity of the remaining Lotless. So he stops pursuing them. This leads to a token called Lotless at Large through here. Lotless did not make it for me. Like, I ran to one Lotless later.
Yeah.
Of this, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got this, but also, I only saw the one Lotless later who I dealt with. A
lot of the things actually don't matter.
Yes.
That much. And it's one part of your choices do matter in this game quite a bit. There is a little bit of level of illusion as well. And what it is it's your choices in aggregate matter towards a trend rather than a specific thing.
Yes.
Like that. The game is designed so it knows you're not going to be able to make every optimal choice at every time. It wants you not to be able to do that. You still get to generally steer your guy while not making every choice. So not getting this, but getting something else will lead to the same event here.
Yeah. So regardless, I'll send you back first, and then Sophia's going to go. Your cover story is that you hit it big in the capital. You got a bunch of money, and you're going home to set yourself up as an artisan. You are going to open a print shop.
Yes.
And then, once you are established, once we have this front, you're going to receive instructions for what you should do in order to subvert the movement in the province.
Yep. And he leaves. So we are now his creature.
Mhm.
We're under his thumb. He leaves. Sophia says, whatever you do, don't call me a traitor. My goal was to get everyone out alive by stopping them from fighting, but only you lived here. I was hoping everybody would get captured and executed later.
As opposed. Yeah.
As opposed to them.
Yeah. So we're on our way out of the capital, and we learn that the Inquisition is declaring this trial against Junius Diamond. Sophia succeeded in selling him out. However, he refutes it, and because of his nobility, he can just say the accusations aren't true.
Yes.
And the attempt to take him down just makes the new faith get more powerful.
A little bit of a whiff.
Yeah. And the Empire, backs off of pressure on him to not feed the schism any further. We have an opportunity to decide, like, hey, I can get a gift for somebody at home. I decided to get a book of poetry for Gloria, written by that Duke Char Melanitis, the magic using Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cool, crazy mage.
Yeah.
For all the world, I was like, Gloria's going to turn out to be a mage.
Oh, yeah.
A witch.
Very witch.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't happen, at least for me. Maybe it can in other paths. I don't know.
Yeah.
And this brings you to the longest chapter of the game, chapter 4, Peacetime. I love that this is called Peacetime because so much of this is so fucking tense.
Yeah.
And it is peacetime in comparison.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be in the middle of some, like, The Quiet American and 3 Days of the Condor shit for the entirety of this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
We're starting at age 20. We arrive home and we see how the family has changed. And it basically matches the letters we've gotten. We can choose who to spend time with when we first get home. I also spend time with my mom because she's sick.
Scary.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Well, she's sick.
Yeah.
She denies us. Your brother pulls you aside and says it's actually much worse than she lets on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's bleak.
Yeah. And we find a building for our headquarters, and Sophia arrives to talk about the plans, right? So we need to initiate this unrest so the secret chancellery, the secret police, can come in and put it down and give them a greater toehold here. Part of this is going to be winning influence with these local figures. Many of them we have seen before. So there's Augustin. There is a mine owner named Mayor Egmont. Who is leading the Lesser Quorum, and then the local religious leader, Father Leonard, who took over for the patriarch who was assassinated.
Yes. I hate that Mayor Egmont is named Mayor.
Yes.
He's not a mayor.
He is not.
It's spelled differently. But every time I think it, I'm like, oh, Mayor.
Yeah.
Through there. There are also other people who will be part of this that will come up.
Yes.
This is just who they set you up with.
Yeah.
And she says, for this to work, we had to believe our lies. I've given up. I'm not going to run from Felipe and the secret police. I could run, but I'm just going to get caught again. And then I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So we get to choose who we're going to. I did this too. Fuck. Choose who we're going to hire. You can staff the print shop with rebels, crooks, or actual printers. I do the latter, which leads to profitable business.
Yeah.
Later. My thinking was I wanted to funnel that into my family.
Yes.
A little bit. That didn't really come to pass. We didn't mention this before. You also get a new set of stats in this chapter that are about the strength of Felipe's spy network in town, and your loyalty to him.
Yeah.
One of the tokens is proved your loyalty, but you are going to be writing that meter of whether he believes you all the time.
Yeah. The stats are your spy network, and the just level of unrest. And
Yes.
you do not want either of these to reach either extreme.
Yes.
In a way that is much more interesting than a Ken Levine golden mean.
Yes.
Yeah, but the fact that you have these just these two things that are in opposition to each other, and there are terrible things that happen if either of them max out, even before you get into when this is rolled over into the starting state of the revolt, right?
Yes. The way that I generally played this for choices that dealt with this was to keep the level of spies low and rebel against Philippe, because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to be under anyone's thumb. I never got, absolutely murdered for this, but I came really close.
Yeah.
I was really pushing it the entire time.
And I was trying to keep the unrest at about like not halfway, like 0, but like 50% of the way to max.
Yeah, I end up having more unrest than that. My goal from a role-playing perspective, and I think it speaks well of this game, that I could come up with this from inferring what had come before the game gave me this option, was to make this revolution a real revolution.
Yes. Yeah.
Like to start this fake one, but then be like, you know what, fuck you, Philippe. And that is ultimately what happened.
Yeah. That was my goal. I didn't want to get out of control. And the things they say about the plans of men.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely gets out of control.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, I need a better front. I need a profitable business. I can roll it into the revolution. I can roll it into the family. Money buys options, right?
Yep. So the fighting between Stefan and Gloria comes to a head. It's harming the family's reputation. They're fighting in public.
Yeah.
So you can, if you're cunning enough for this, you can propose that Gloria take a vacation. This gives them time to cool off. It costs the family money.
Yeah.
However, this is the first time you're really directly influencing your family's wealth and honor. Wealth, honor, and reputation.
It is wealth, reputation, and unity.
Unity. There we go.
Yeah.
So this is a limited resource.
Yes. But it's worth it. And you can side with either of them outright, but like that's disastrous for the unity. Didn't want it to accelerate. Right. Fuck Stefan, but also like the state of the family in terms of like everybody else getting along matters as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I this is going to sound like hell to some people, but I fucking pig and shit thinking about it, and it's skipping ahead. But I love that me focusing on unity just meant the family died together.
Yep.
Like what a good kick in my dick.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, yeah. Like, they were unified.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. Boy, were they unified.
They were unified until they were ripped limb from limb.
Yeah. Yeah. And not completely unified, but like mostly unified.
As much as I could. Yeah.
Yeah. God, hurt me more. Like, why are there narratives that aren't trying to break your heart? I don't get it. So we get some eccentric recruits here. We get Father Foude. This is the first guy who looked like a Patreon backer.
Oh yeah,
to me.
He's a street preacher kind of guy. Father Foude is. Yeah. He's a heretic. And then we get Alida Siren, who is a bookbinder, an actual bookbinder. But her sister was hanged in the trial of the 50, this event that happened earlier on, and she wants revenge.
Yep. And we're going to get surprise inspections.
Yep.
Felipe comes to check things out, and he brings an enforcer, this heavy named Oliver Moss.
Yeah.
Basically to keep an eye on you. He positions it as if this is a resource for you, but he's his man.
He's a victor.
Yeah. This is the best. This kind of thing is the when Game of Thrones is good. This is the kind of shit that's happening.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So he's dissatisfied with your current recruits. Listen, you need to vet out the rabble. And you can agree with him just to satisfy him and not make him furious here. And he gives you your name for your cool secret society. You were the Lotless before. Now you're the last straw.
And it was like, oh yeah, that's something the commoners, it's just clever enough to be dumb. I think
the B sharps.
Yeah. He gives it, he just throws it off. Okay. You're the last straw now. And Sophia and you, after this, Sophia has learned about the Poet Society that is here. If you kept it intact, I believe.
Yes.
You can sell it out earlier, in a special event, but I didn't. And we go and we listen to it. It's a slam poetry kind of recital kind of deal. And we're awed at their clarity. right? This is the discontent of the people summed up. And there are different ways you can treat this. They could be seen as a threat to the revolution, if they are not something that the secret chancellery doesn't control. Also, you could just see them as an actual use for the real revolution that you want to foster, right?
Yes.
So you can decide, do we rat them out, break them up? Do we try and recruit them directly? Or you can have this other path, which I took, which is didn't turn them in. I published their works using the print shop, keeping all of them anonymous, trying to keep the book distance from the print shop itself. But like, these words are powerful. They need to be out there.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly which one I did. I know I didn't turn them in.
Yeah.
Whichever one supported my general goal of causing a real revolution during the fake one.
Yes.
Age 21, the conflict between the overseer and the archduke has boiled over into this dual tax situation.
Yeah.
They're both charging the people taxes. And it's ruinous.
Yeah.
People cannot afford this.
Yeah. The wealth of the province dives and never really recovers after this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really horrible.
Yeah.
The archduke tries to bribe your family. You're a noble family. He wants your support. And he sends a box of jewels.
Like at the end of Freddy Got Fingered. I got you these jewels.
I haven't seen Freddy Got Fingered. But yeah, like a cigar box full of gems, basically, to buy your father's loyalty.
Yeah.
Away from the overseer. You are allowed to decide what to do with it. I also sell it through here. To get money for the family because I keep buying vacations, things like that.
I'm going to take the windfall, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sophia lets you know it's time for the last straw to have a figurehead, this public face, and it should be Mayor Egmont,
right?
The silver mine owner who is in favor of this quorum.
Yes.
You set up a meet, and he's no dummy.
Yeah.
He's grilling you about your goals. He's okay, we should support to push to support Overseer Tempest. He was sent here because he was too progressive for the capital. Like, he's our best option.
Yeah.
Right here.
And it lays out his goals, which I think are good. I wanted to back Mayor Egmont as long as I could. Right. This is.
I like the goals too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is the reformist path in this. I lost control and it became the reign of terror. But what he wants to do, like, okay, so we already have like the seeds of this in place. We keep Gaius Tempest ascendant. We expand the lesser quorum, right? We extend more rights, and ultimately the goal will be Anazat should be this free city state. Commoners and nobles can be equal here, and then from that we can be an example and spread. We can recreate this later on.
Yeah. I liked his general idea, but I didn't want to limit it.
Yes.
To the city or this province.
Yeah.
The whole empire had to fall.
Yeah.
So I was kind of paying a little bit of lip service to him. This is the quote unquote good ending for this path, however.
Yeah, which is negotiate with the empire as opposed to bring it down. What I wanted was to unseat the empire and install a capital A anarchist kind of thing.
Yes.
Instead I got lowercase a.
Yeah.
Anarchy.
A lot of people die.
Yeah.
Again, I like it. At the end of this, you literally face God. And you decide if you're okay with your choices. And I can honestly say, like, I don't know, ultimately this got rid of a really, really oppressive system.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'd make that choice in real life.
Yeah.
If that much blood. So we can tell Philippe about this. And this lets you get the token secret plot with Mayor Egmont, which I also did.
Fuck Philippe. Not telling Philippe gets you the secret plot. Telling Philippe puts him in danger, puts Mayor Egmont in danger, because he is way too legitimate of a threat to the actual power structure for them. Yeah.
So we meet Tomas. Tomas comes back because he's stationed here. I go and have dinner with him. Even though this will ding the family reputation, but we're best friends forever. We have the ring.
Yep.
There. And he's a captain in the Magrin Legion. He's commanded by Dorius Auden, the guy who mistreated Sophia, who is a real piece of shit.
Yep. He hates him.
Main villain of the next chapter, really.
Yeah.
So we kind of retouch with him, which I'm like, this will be handy.
Yes.
He's a legionnaire.
Yeah. He's
my friend. I am going to manipulate him for the revolution.
Yes, of course.
Womp womp.
Both can be true.
Yes.
So Sophia, in talking about how do we gain power, what can we do? She brings up the need for gunpowder. Gunpowder was banned initially for safety reasons, but that was specifically in Magra, and then it became banned empire-wide because it was seen as too much of a threat to the actual like physical safety of the nobility. This is something that even a commoner can use to instantly kill. And we do not want that. We want to maintain an arms advantage over them.
Yes.
But she says, Egmont still uses it. Egmont is using it in the mines, at night, deep down, in order to, accelerate mining and keep a profit up. So we can either steal it or we can make this deal with Egmont, right?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty sure I made the deal as well.
Yeah.
For this, I convinced him
Mm-hmm.
that it would be good. Like it's a persuasion check, basically.
Yeah. Like you can go set up a meeting and it's like, oh my gosh, I people can't know that I'm doing this. So obviously there's a leak here. And I basically say like, it's too hot in your hands. Give it to me. I'll hide it. Nobody's going to be looking at a non-miner for this. Keeping compliance, lay low.
Yep. A family holiday comes along. The anniversary of your family's ennobling. So Robert, Stefan, and yourself go down to do a vigil in Gregor's tomb. And Gregor's spirit calls for the head of the family, and Stefan holds his father back and tries to step forward.
Yeah.
Claiming that Gregor is addressing him. I, of course, side with Robert.
Of course. Yeah.
Because fuck Stefan. But Gregor was right. He was talking to Stefan. Assholes.
And says, hey, like you need to cut Lydia and Gloria out loose once and for all. Tells that to Robert. And then when Robert says no, tells it to Stefan, saying like, hey, you need to act. And his initial reaction is, but Gloria, I can't. But then thinks twice and, decides to go with Grandpa because he always goes with Grandpa.
Yeah. He's not without love for his sibling.
Yeah.
Or his adopted mother, or his stepmother. Like he's just really bought into this bullshit.
He just cares about nobility more. Yeah.
There was a thing, one of the tokens I didn't get that they tempted me with at the beginning of the chapter was like, find out Stefan's secret.
I had no idea how to get that. I did not get that event.
I think it's,
yeah.
I think he's an alcoholic based on looking at wiki stuff. I assumed he was going to go off to military academy and have a gay relationship. I didn't, just because it was like,
okay, there's a scandal or something. Yeah,
like a scandal.
Yeah. What I think it is a relationship. I do not know if it is with a male or female. But it is a shameful relationship that he wants to keep hidden, and you can get leverage over him for this.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Yeah,
wanted to find out what that was.
Yeah.
Father Faude says he met a young man named Gustav who fled the capital after the purging of the lawless. He's being pursued by the secret chancellery, but Faude thinks we can use him.
Yeah.
So this could be a real problem. He's going to recognize you.
Yeah.
You're setting up a fake revolution. He's like, those are those traitors from my fake revolution.
Right. Also, I fucking hate them. They sold us out. And it's not a problem. Like, okay, you're not going to get in trouble with the secret chancellery. But, if he comes in and says like, yeah, that guy, last time I saw him, he was being arrested for the March of the Collars, this really infamous event. It blows the cover story, right? We're supposed to keep where we got our power, where we got our money, a mystery, right?
Yes.
So we could lure him into a trap, to deal with him. We can help him escape the city, or just hand him over to Philippe, or we can just explain to him, and it takes willpower to actually face up this person whose life was ruined by joining your cause. But I do this, saying like, hey, we didn't sell you out. I saved who we could. Right. So you really need to, let the old stuff drop. We have started anew. We're doing the same cause again. If you still believe in this, join us.
Yeah. I helped him escape. I don't remember the circumstances around doing it.
Yeah.
Age 22, because we have gunpowder, we get a special event called Powder Keg, where Sophia wants the gunpowder. She only says that she's going to use it to start a revolt. So you have to trust her.
Yeah. It doesn't say specifically what she's going to do. I feel like it's a bad idea. This is about where my relationship with her, it was a little bit iffy before, like when we came back here, but it's like, hey, you're literally firing the cannon indoors. Like, but okay, I trust you, but take it easy, I guess. I still give it to her. And she blows. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I ended up being pretty Sophia pilled for the rest of it. It wasn't because I necessarily believed her. I was role playing as somebody who was in love with her.
Okay.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
Because my character had said, like, you find this person attractive. I was trying to think of, like, what if I found this person super fucking hot?
Yeah.
She's always smoking, which I don't think is hot.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that,
Yeah.
seems like my type in terms of a woodcut portrait.
Right.
Yeah.
I still, like, even though I started, like, questioning her, I still saw her as very useful. It's like, okay, like, I'm not personally into this person because they're doing a lot of bad stuff, but also, like, they're really effective for the cause, which I still believe in. Yeah.
Regardless of how you feel about her, what she does with this is she bombs the statue of the emperor in the square, and the chancellery, and a bunch of infrastructure. This is the first 9/11 you do.
Yep.
In the game, and this swells the ranks at the last straw. Here, and those ranks swell, and there are kind of doubts about the possibility of a successful revolt. These doubts dwindle.
Yes,
because this is a serious blow.
Yeah, we showed him it's possible. So Mayor Egmont is out giving this rousing speech saying, hey, there are these laws. Like, there are laws on the books protecting the commoners from, the nobility. Like, we need to enforce them, right? It should not be possible for a noble to just have total impunity to kill commoners whenever they want. And Father Leonard agrees.
Yeah. The things in the home state are turning progressive even without your help.
Yes.
There's a magistrate here, though, Remy L. Verman, here.
Is he a good guy?
His last little
Verman.
Yeah, Verman. There. Who black bags you. So yeah, he's a good guy. And takes you to meet him, and he is running his own game. He basically proposes another deal. He knows everything about you. He knows that you're working with the secret chancellery. He says, listen, you sell out your network, you sell out Mayor, you sell out Philippe, and I will protect you and your family from the secret chancellery. I have enough power. You can just kind of go back to how things are.
Yeah. It is not a bad offer if you don't believe in the revolution. This is the path to, like, fully sell it out. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't believe in the revolution, or, if you just care about other things more.
Yeah.
Right? Like, your family's not doing good.
No.
Here. And, Felipe saying, I'm going to murder your sister and your brother and your mother and stuff is a real threat through this.
Yeah.
So I think I entered into this.
Oh, wow.
With him with the intent to betray.
Okay.
Nothing came of it. I just betrayed him later.
Huh.
Here.
All right. Yeah.
So,
yeah. So you need a lot of valor to refuse him outright, because I think it turns into a fight. So I just evade the question and kind of make him think I agreed to it without actually doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there a character named Captain Leonard comes to tell you that there's been a problem.
Yeah.
Stefan and Nathan, your brother, were sent to the city dungeon after an incident at the tavern.
Yeah.
Nathan has been drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your Grimace Worm-tongue brother has just been drinking, and he got drunk with a bunch of these New Faith followers, and a brawl started. Stefan went to go chastise him, and grab him because he's bringing shame to the family. But one of the members of the sect tried to stop him. He was unarmed, and Stefan killed him.
Yeah. And Stefan has been arrested for murdering a commoner. Because, the laws are being enforced now. And because of that, he's going to have his sword confiscated for a year. And this is a black eye for him, and Stefan will not suffer any black eyes.
Yes.
Nathan denies Stefan's characterization of what happened. It wasn't a riot. It wasn't an all out brawl. He really overreacted. The guy didn't attack him. He literally just, like, pulled him to the side to try and talk reason.
We've seen this happen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only good option that I see is to have Robert get involved, right? Just like, okay, like, this is pretty rough. Like, I don't want to, I don't know. No, here's what it is. My spy network is not strong enough to blackmail. If I had more sway in the underground, I would be able to blackmail. Here, though,
that's what I did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Through this,
yeah.
You get a little scene where you meet the judge and you show him his blackmail material. And basically, I can make this disappear.
Yeah.
If you do this, there's a little implication in the scene that the judge is going to come back at you for this. I never got that event.
Okay.
So, but I ended up blackmailing.
Yeah. A man calling himself Father Mark can approach you at the print shop, saying, "Hey, I, have particular beliefs. Nobody else will print them, but I see the kind of things that you put out there. Will you print my religious writings? I'm about to die. I want my ideas to live on. I am this world's version of an atheist." He says, like, yes, the gods exist. Yes, the lots are there and they enforce them. However, what is being judged and what will suffer or what will experience the eternal bliss of the afterlife, that's not you. Like, that is your soul being subsumed into something bigger. You're no longer you, so why should you care?
You just get absorbed into the hive mind, or whatever. It's the Geiger fuck machine from the Crush in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes,
yeah. I print his stuff.
Okay,
I'm like, yeah, man, get the idea out there for this. I can't remember how it affected my stats. I was just like, this seems good.
I forget. I think that it causes a hit to reputation. My reputation was in the shitter, and also it raised unrest more than I wanted it to. So I could sell them out to Philippe, but I was like, hey, let's tell Robert about it. And then Father Mark gets tried. And and we find out exactly how many people were following his beliefs, because once they see their leader get tried, they flee. This includes a lot of my spy network.
Yes, it would make sense that they would be atheists, but you give your father a juicy case.
Yes,
which can help the reputation. Again, I can't remember the mechanical things that happened. It all ended up being fine in the wash.
Did it?
Well, I mean, it all ended up being the same as yours in the wash.
Okay.
So, this difference didn't change our lots, our fates. Age 23, the miners in a nearby area, Illyria, they revolt, and they're using gunpowder, but also guns, and guns are banned in the Empire. The Legion comes and puts them down there, and the south of Illyria is now a forest of gallows.
Yeah.
So good. But there's no inkling as who made the guns.
Yeah.
We don't know how they came about, and the nobility has faced its first real threat. The Legion had overwhelming numbers, but guns are, a big equalizer here.
Yes. Say what you will about them. That is an effect of them.
Yes. Yeah. If you're fighting people with just swords, they're stronger.
Yes. So we can't keep being double taxed. Right. One is fine, but having this, pretender, the Archduke, levying an unofficial tax is too much. And this gunpowder ban has completely ruined the silver industry here, which is the only employer. They do not want to give commoners this gunpowder. So we need to do something about it.
Yes. So as this is happening, Philippe sends you a letter saying, hey, Egmont is going to lead a march on El Vermin's estate to end the gunpowder ban. And this is a very complicated, dramatically rich thing. Egmont might not be able to keep the miners nonviolent. Also, your brother's going to be at the party.
Yes.
That they're marching on. And you have multiple options on how to do this. I also soaked the lesser death. This is my second one. I love how this happens. You make it a full riot.
Yep.
I want to raise the unrest at this point. I wasn't really keeping a throttle on that. But your brother kills you.
Yeah.
Like, like your brother is the one who kills you. He doesn't know, and you don't know.
No. So So I don't egg it on. I chose to profit.
These are the different options.
Yeah. I chose to profit from the havoc.
Okay, gotcha.
I was like, okay, my family, is in the shitter. The money can solve a lot of problems with low reputation. Is what I noticed. And I was like, all right, fuck the nobles anyway. We have all of these revolutionaries. If they're going to be at this party and penned in by the riots, let's do some B&Es, right?
Gotcha.
So that's what I did. We robbed them blind.
Oh no, yeah, I went full riot.
Yeah,
and your brother comes out with a sword, and he's the one who kills you. He runs his sword through your back, and I don't think he knows that it was you.
Oh, huh.
So this is where I got my second lesser death in the game.
Yeah, I saw there was a revolt coming, so I wanted to save my other two.
Yeah. Well, this is my last one. I didn't end up dying again, so I had a spare.
Yeah.
So if you do what happened with your thing, mine did cause more unrest. I don't think it ended the gunpowder ban, but it's a tick towards ending the double tax. because it's a serious revolt.
Yeah.
Like it does a lot of stuff. What happens if you rob the nobles?
So if you rob the nobles, the march is not fully successful. Really, all that they can do, all that Egmont gets in concession, is some food aid, saying like, "Hey, we won't solve this problem, but we'll throw you a pittance." So these people who are forming a shanty town outside of town, so they can eat. But we're not going to, we're not going to lift the gunpowder ban, so we can put these people back to work.
Yeah, bummer.
Yeah,
the assholes.
Yeah.
If your spy stat is low enough, because I was not really maxing out my spy stat, you get an event called the Sound of Thunder. I also got this, where Felipe comes and is yelling at you about your performance.
Yeah.
Every time this happened, I just lied and said I'll do better next time.
And he
it's my first day the whole time.
and then Tibor gets promoted ahead of you.
And it's because I spent all that time increasing my cunning and ingenuity. Like, because I went for a mental rogue kind of character. I was able to just constantly lie to my boss until I got to kill him.
Oh yeah, no,
the American fucking dream.
Oh, absolutely. Like he's absentee, right? And all he wants is the illusion of progress. And it's like it's not like I'm not doing the work. Like I'm building up this unrest, just not in the way that he wants to. So I will engage in the time-honored tradition of lying to my boss to get him off my back.
Exactly. Yeah, he wants more of his people in there.
Yeah.
And I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year ends with the Festival of the Silver Tree. The family sits down for a feast, and Stefan walks over to the harpsichord and plays this beautiful song. And Gloria insults it, thinking that it was, written by some lazy noble or whatever. And Stefan says, "No, I composed that. It's called Mother. Like, this is a sweet gift that he gave to Lydia. He wrote a song for her."
It's very sweet.
But Gloria is furious at the injustice of this. She is constantly being told to hide her poems, being told that she'll be sent to hell for writing these poems. But Stefan, can just sit down and openly write poems, openly write songs.
Yep.
And you need to figure out how to resolve this.
So this is one of the times in the game where I let stats roleplay for me.
Okay.
Because I had the option to side with Gloria, but I had already maxed out Gloria.
Yes.
Reputation.
Yeah.
And it would affect family unity, which was very low. So I also appealed to the mom to get her to calm down.
Yeah.
You take a hit in Gloria.
Yeah.
Like here. But also I felt like Steven had done a nice thing.
Yes.
At this point. It wasn't really, yes, that whole system's unjust. Just wait. Your ghost will see what I'm going to do. Let me cook.
Yeah. It's like,
you won't get to see it, but that won't be the way forever.
Yeah.
For now, though, like, stop fighting at Christmas.
Yeah. Basically, my idea of this, I had all these options open to me, but I was like, hey, this, I agree with you, but this isn't the time. Yeah. So, and this raised, obviously this is about something else. It's not just the song. She is furious about this hypocrisy. Like, oh, I can be here taking on all of the responsibilities of the family, but I do not get to bear its name. Like, I am not a part of this. And she leaves. Yeah.
Yep. Starting the thread of eventually possibly adopting her.
Yeah.
So the emperor's heirs, Gerion and Flavius, travel to Monia for the protection of the Chancellor Monrogue.
Yes.
Who says people are plotting against the heirs. The commoners think that's not what this is. They think it's a hostage situation. This is very Game of Thrones. Like, you take a ward through there. Yeah. And because everything that's happening around, economic refugees flood the city. They built this huge shanty town around it. Mayor Egmont, is the only powerful person who's like, we should feed them at all.
Yeah. Like, hey, they need food and shelter. Like, if you're going to put them into this situation, at the very least, you can take care of their basic needs, right?
Yep.
And Sophia learns that, as they're trying to get this resolved, Mayor Egmont and Augustin Alborn, the cool magistrate from before, they're having dinner at my place, right? Yep. And she says, "Hey, you need to get me a seat at that table, however you can. You tell them I'm your friend, your fiance, your lover. I don't care. I need to be there."
Yep. So she comes to the dinner. She's very charming to your family. Everybody likes her. And the discussion turns to the refugees, and Augustin doesn't understand what Mayor's motivations are here. I can't, like, yes, we can help them now, but However, the overseer is going to call the Legion, and they're going to get stomped.
Yeah.
And Sophia speaks up. I do not accept this.
Yeah.
You need to step up and advocate for us.
Yeah.
There. And this kind of makes him break good. He's always had a good heart. He's like, well, okay. That you're right. You've reminded me that this would be a moral thing to do.
Yeah.
He makes a deal with the Lesser Quorum to get the refugees food and shelter.
Yes. It's a good thing. This is Sophia using her powers for like an unabashed good, right?
Yes. It's shocking the table,
right.
But it ultimately being good.
Yeah. Not her actual magic powers, but just, using her persuasive powers. Yeah.
Those are mostly used for evil. Because we've both been friends with Gloria, we get an event called the Illegitimate Girl, where Gloria comes and says, hey, I would like to plot to get your father to actually adopt me. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You're my sister.
Yeah.
Stephen is furious. Stefan is furious about this.
Yeah. It is not going to hear it out. I try to appeal to him saying like, hey, this feud, like what we're doing here, it's way worse than the hit that we're going to take. But just by letting her in. But he doesn't get on board. We kind of enter into this secret plot. This is ultimately the thing that breaks the relationship with Stefan. It becomes, mutually exclusive. If you have Gloria around, I will not be here.
Yep. Which is, I'll choose that every day. She can die together with the family.
Yes.
Sophia comes with news that the Archduke is organizing his own revolt against the Overseer Tempest with Dorius Otten as his main allies. And this is a big deal. Again, she is a revolutionary, but it is second to revenge.
Yes.
She wants to expose Otten. Felipe has said, lie low for a month. She's not going to do it. And you can demand an answer if you have high enough scheming. We both went scheme pilled. So we can have her explain more. And she basically, this is where she reveals everything that she's been through.
Yes.
There. And, I'm tired of being owned by people. I'm going to get hanged. I may as well get this motherfucker to pay for what he's done.
Yes.
They literally mentioned being raped as a